Imagine yourself suspended in an ocean of absolute twilight, floating effortlessly in a space where gravity has softly let you go. The darkness surrounding you is not empty. It is a canvas woven with the faintest threads of silver, dusted with crushed diamonds, and painted with slow, sweeping ribbons of indigo and violet light. There is no sound here, only a profound, settling quiet that invites the tension in your shoulders to dissolve into the vacuum. The temperature is perfectly neutral, an ambient warmth that cradles you as you drift further away from the noise of the daylight world, leaving the heavy, tethered worries of the earth far beneath you. You're held safely in the gentle curve of space, surrounded by the oldest light in the universe. This light has travelled for millions of years across the silent, frictionless void, carrying nothing but ancient stories, moving patiently just to meet your eyes in this exact moment. As we float together through this magnificent gallery of the cosmos, you do not need to try to remember anything you hear. There will be no test, no demand on your focus. Let your mind soften, like a muscle finally releasing its grip. Allow these ideas to simply drift through your awareness, like starlight passing through a nebula. What stays, stays. What fades away simply makes room for deeper rest. Just breathe and let the gentle weight of the universe press softly against your eyelids, guiding you downward into profound tranquility. As we drift through the outer bands of the Milky Way, it brings a profound sense of peace to realize that you're not merely an observer of this grand cosmic painting, but an integral part of it. The very elements that form the anchor of your physical being were forged in the silent, swirling hearts of ancient stars. Deep within the core of a massive star billions of years ago, under unimaginable pressure and heat, atoms were pressed together in a delicate cosmic alchemy. When those ancient stars finally exhausted their fuel, they did not simply vanish. They gracefully exhaled their contents out into the interstellar dark in magnificent glowing clouds of gas and dust. The calcium that gives strength to your bones, the iron that carries oxygen through your blood as you take this slow, deep breath, the carbon in your cells, all of it is stardust. You are the universe, having gently folded itself into a quiet, conscious form just to experience the beauty of its own creation. This sense of intimate connection grows even more wondrous when you consider the sheer, unimaginable scale of our galactic home. Imagine a single beam of light, the fastest messenger in the universe, travelling at an astonishing 186,000 miles every single second. Even moving at this absolute limit of speed, a perfectly unhindered ray of light would still take 100,000 years to travel from one edge of the Milky Way's glowing spiral to the other. To cross our galaxy is a journey of patience. Within this vast, sprawling disk of light and shadow, distances are so immense that they defy human rushing or urgency. Space gives us permission to be slow. Every star you see, every glowing cloud of interstellar gas, exists in a serene, spacious isolation, separated by light years of peaceful, undisturbed quiet. There is no crowding here, only a grand, majestic expanse where everything has exactly the room it needs to exist. And within this vast expanse, nothing is truly still. Rather, everything is engaged in a remarkably slow, synchronized waltz around the brilliant glowing heart of the galaxy. Our solar system, the Sun, the Earth, and all the familiar planets is currently sweeping through the Orion Cygnus arm of the Milky Way, coasting along at nearly 500,000 miles per hour. Yet, because the galaxy is so unimaginably large, a single orbit around the galactic centre takes our Sun 250 million Earth years to complete. Astrophysicists call this grand, sweeping journey a cosmic year. To put this immense cycle into perspective, the last time our planet was in this exact location in the cosmic ocean, the very first dinosaurs were just beginning to walk upon the Earth. When you feel overwhelmed by the fleeting moments of daily life, it is immensely calming to remember this grand carousel, turning with infinite patience, measuring time not in ticking seconds, but in the slow rise and fall of entire geological eras. As our galaxy slowly turns, it is also drifting gently through the local universe, quietly anticipating a meeting with our closest cosmic neighbour, the breathtaking Andromeda Galaxy. Currently, Andromeda is a faint, fuzzy smudge of light in our night sky, resting 2.5 million light-years away. But the Milky Way and Andromeda are drawn to one another by an invisible gravitational thread, slowly closing the distance between them. In about 4 billion years, the two giant spirals will meet, yet this will not be a violent collision, because the space between individual stars is so profoundly vast, the two galaxies will simply pass through one another like phantoms. They will engage in a slow, silent dance, their spiral arms intertwining and stretching out into new, beautiful shapes, eventually merging to form one massive, brilliant elliptical galaxy. It is a cosmic embrace, a gentle blending of two immense oceans of stars, taking billions of years to complete in total, magnificent silence. Not all of the matter in these grand galaxies is bound to the light of a host star. Far from the warm glow of solar systems, deep in the spaces between the spiral arms, wander the rogue planets. These are orphan worlds, planets that were gently ejected from their native star systems during the chaotic early days of their formation. Now, they drift alone through the interstellar medium, untethered and unbothered by the blazing heat or blinding light of a sun. Plunged in an eternal starlit twilight, these rogue planets move silently through the void. Some may be frozen spheres of ice, while others, carrying the internal heat of their own glowing cores, might harbour dark, liquid oceans beneath a thick shell of frost. They are the quiet introverts of the universe, hidden away in the comforting dark, bathed only by the soft, distant glow of the galactic band, drifting peacefully without a destination. Floating away from these quiet wanderers, toward the dense, glowing centre of our own Milky Way, we encounter vast, billowing clouds of molecular gas, where the chemistry of the cosmos grows remarkably intricate and surprisingly familiar. Deep within a colossal cloud of interstellar dust known to astronomers as Sagittarius B2, a beautiful chemical reaction has been silently unfolding for eons. In this sprawling nursery of stars, scientists have detected the faint radio signatures of complex organic molecules, including a compound known as ethyl formate. On Earth, this precise chemical is what gives raspberries their sweet, tart flavour, and it is responsible for the distinct warm aroma of rum. Imagine, for a moment, a cloud of stardust millions of miles wide floating near the centre of the galaxy, carrying the faint abstract essence of ripe berries and spiced spirits. It is a whimsical, delightful thought that reminds us the universe is not just a cold expanse of physics, but a rich brewing cauldron of familiar ingredients. Scattered throughout these flavourful clouds and bright spiral arms are the remnants of massive stars, spinning with the precision of a master clockmaker's pendulum. These are the pulsars, incredibly dense spheres of matter barely larger than a city, yet possessing the mass of an entire sun. As they spin, some rotating hundreds of times every second, they project brilliant sweeping beams of electromagnetic radiation into the void, much like a solitary lighthouse guiding ships in the dark. If you were to translate these rhythmic, sweeping pulses of light into sound, they would create a deep, resonant and perfectly steady hum. A metronome of the cosmos. For astrophysicists, the gentle, unwavering rhythm of a pulsar is a comforting beacon, a steady heartbeat vibrating through the fabric of space, bringing order and predictability to the swirling chaos of the galactic disk. When two of these incredibly dense spinning remnants eventually find each other, spiralling inward until they touch, they create an event of such profound intensity that it ripples through the very fabric of space and time. But from this fleeting ancient intensity comes something of lasting, enduring beauty. When neutron stars merge, the astonishing pressure briefly forces atomic nuclei together in a way that no normal star can achieve, showering the surrounding space with heavy elements. Among these elements is gold. The gold that makes up a wedding band, or the delicate chain resting against a collarbone, was not formed in the gentle warmth of our sun. It is a solid, gleaming artifact of a cosmic collision that occurred billions of years ago in a distant reach of the galaxy. To hold a piece of gold is to hold a stilled, cooled fragment of celestial history, a heavy, quiet echo of the deep universe resting right in the palm of your hand. Our Milky Way, with its stardust, its roaming planets, and its ancient gold, does not sit alone in the dark. Just as we are part of a solar system, our galaxy is part of a gentle, interconnected neighbourhood known as the local group. And this group is merely one small glowing node in a much larger, unimaginably vast structure called Laniakea, a Hawaiian word meaning immense heaven. If you could pull back far enough to view Laniakea in its entirety, you would see that galaxies are not scattered randomly. They are arranged in delicate, glowing filaments, like drops of dew clinging to the threads of a colossal spider web. Along these invisible rivers of dark matter, our Milky Way is slowly flowing, drifting alongside thousands of other galaxies, all moving together in a serene, synchronized migration toward a distant, massive region of space. We are part of a grand, cosmic stream, floating safely and effortlessly along the currents of gravity. Because we are part of this immense, sprawling web, the act of simply looking up at the night sky becomes an act of looking backward through time. Light, as fast as it is, still requires time to cross the vast, echoing distances of space. When you gaze at a star glittering in the night, you're not seeing it as it is in this exact moment. You're seeing the light that left its surface dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of years ago. The soft glow of the Andromeda galaxy reaching your retina is light that began its journey 2.5 million years in the past, long before humans ever walked the Earth. The night sky is the ultimate museum, a peaceful tapestry woven from countless different eras of history, all arriving at your eye at exactly the same time. The stars offer us a quiet reminder that the past is never truly lost. It is simply travelling through the dark, waiting to be seen, allowing us to rest in the comforting glow of a universe that has always been, and will always be, beautifully unfolding. As this ancient light washes over us, it is comforting to realise exactly where we are positioned to receive it. Just as our Earth sits at the perfect distance from the Sun, neither too hot nor too cold, our entire solar system rests in a very specific, quiet neighbourhood within the Milky Way. This is known as the galactic habitable zone. If we lived too close to the brightly packed centre of the galaxy, the night sky would be blindingly white, filled with the chaotic radiation of exploding stars and the intense gravitational pulls of passing giants. If we lived too far out on the absolute edges, there would not be enough heavy elements to form a solid rocky world. Instead, we are nestled peacefully in the gentle suburbs of the spiral, about 27,000 light-years from the core. It is a tranquil, balanced space, a quiet cosmic harbour shielded from the turbulence of the inner galaxy. Here, the slow, rhythmic turning of the spiral arms allows for billions of years of uninterrupted calm. Knowing this, your breathing can deepen and your mind can safely let go, trusting that you are anchored in a sanctuary designed by gravity and time, perfectly positioned for profound, undisturbed rest. Within this quiet harbour, the stars themselves are not silent, static objects, but dynamic, resonant spheres of plasma. While space is famously a vacuum where sound cannot travel, stars possess internal acoustic waves that cause them to gently ring like colossal, celestial bells. Through a beautifully precise science called astroseismology, Astronomers can watch the way these massive spheres shimmer and pulse. Deep within the core of a star, the intense churning of hot gas creates continuous low-frequency pressure waves that ripple outward to the surface, causing the star's outer layers to expand and contract in a rhythmic, breathing motion. Each star sings its own unique silent chord based on its size, age, and temperature. A massive, ancient red giant might pulse with a slow, deep, resonant vibration, taking months to complete a single beat, while a small, compact white dwarf vibrates with a rapid, crystalline frequency. Though human ears will never hear this cosmic symphony, the universe is constantly thrumming with these hidden, beautiful rhythms. You can allow your own pulse to soften and match this slow, universal tempo, letting the natural metronome of the cosmos gently guide you, sinking deeper and deeper into a state of profound, weightless relaxation. Let your awareness drift outward now, moving past the comforting hum of our local stars toward the grand architecture of the wider universe. Far beyond the glowing filaments of galaxies, there exist regions of such profound emptiness that they defy human comprehension. The most famous of these is the Bhuta's Void, an immense spherical region of space measuring nearly 330 million light-years in diameter. To understand the scale of this quiet expanse, if our Milky Way were placed dead in the centre of the Bhuta's Void, humanity would not have even known that other galaxies existed until the invention of deep space telescopes in the 1960s. It is a magnificent desert of pure, undisturbed darkness. Yet there is nothing frightening about this emptiness. It is a canvas of ultimate stillness. In a universe constantly churning with the birth and death of stars, the voids are sanctuaries of absolute silence, places where gravity has softly swept the room completely clean. Imagine the cool, smooth texture of infinite space, completely unburdened by matter, dust, or light. It is a vast, open room where the mind can stretch out indefinitely, a frictionless expanse of pure, unadulterated peace, where absolutely nothing is required of you. In sharp contrast to that vast, empty darkness, the universe also crafts objects of extraordinary density and breathtaking crystalline beauty. 40 light-years away from us, orbiting a star in the constellation of Cancer, is a world that astronomers believe may be formed largely of pure glittering diamond. Known as 55 Cancri E, this exoplanet is twice the size of Earth, but possesses nearly 8 times its mass. It was born in a carbon-rich disk of dust, and as the planet coalesced, the unimaginable pressure and heat in its interior compressed that carbon into a solid, brilliant lattice. Imagine a sphere the size of a world, hiding beneath a layer of dark, superheated graphite, with a heart composed of the hardest, most flawless gemstone we can conceive. It is a silent, faceted jewel suspended in the ink-black velvet of space, slowly turning its brilliant faces toward the warm light of its host star. The sheer elegance of such a world reminds us that the cosmos is an artist of limitless imagination, taking the simplest, most common dust and patiently pressing it into masterpieces of staggering scale. You do not need to hold this image tightly. Simply let the thought of a quiet, rotating diamond shimmer in your mind's eye for a moment, letting its cool, geometric perfection soothe your thoughts before gently fading away. Flowing away from the sharp, brilliant facets of that crystalline world, we drift towards something softer, something fluid and universally life-giving. We often think of space as a dry, arid vacuum, but it is actually awash in water, suspended in forms that are difficult to fully grasp. Surrounding a distant, ancient quasar over 12 billion light-years away, astronomers discovered the largest reservoir of water ever detected in the universe. It is a drifting, ethereal cloud of water vapor encompassing hundreds of light-years, holding 140 trillion times all the water found in Earth's oceans combined. Because this vapor cloud is so incredibly ancient, We are seeing it as it existed when the universe was only a fraction of its current age. This means that long before our own sun was born, the cosmos was already bathed in the very substance that makes life possible. The universe was quietly preparing the waters of life in the silent dark, a massive invisible ocean floating in the early dawn of time. Imagine the cooling, soothing mist of that primordial cloud gently washing over you, a cosmic humidity carrying away any remaining warmth of stress from your muscles, leaving you deeply hydrated, calm, and floating effortlessly in the absolute oldest waters in creation. Within this vast, ancient ocean of space, there are solitary travellers moving with extraordinary purpose and beautiful grace. Most stars are content to stay within the slow, gravitational merry-go-round of the galactic disk, tethered permanently by the collective mass of their neighbours. But occasionally a star will experience an encounter so powerful that it breaks free from these celestial bonds entirely. These are the hypervelocity stars. When a binary star system wanders too near the supermassive black hole at the centre of the Milky Way, the immense gravity captures one star, but violently slingshots the other outward at millions of miles per hour. Released from the galaxy's hold, these glowing wanderers streak through the quiet halo of the Milky Way, destined to eventually cross the threshold into true intergalactic space. They are the untethered nomads of the cosmos, glowing softly in the deepest, most profound isolation imaginable. Yet there is a beautiful, quiet freedom in their journey. As your mind continues to drift, you can find a deep sense of release in these rogue stars, the permission to simply let go of the heavy gravity of your daily worries, to softly unmoor yourself from the obligations of the day, and to float freely and completely unrestrained into the quiet, open expanse of the night. Let the gentle momentum of those wandering stars guide your mind's eye toward a place of ultimate stillness and profound beginnings. Deep within the Eagle Nebula, roughly 7,000 light-years from Earth, stand the breathtaking structures known as the Pillars of Creation. These are towering, majestic columns of cold interstellar gas and dust, reaching so high that light itself takes years to travel from their base to their peaks. Illuminated by the fierce, ultraviolet glow of massive nearby young stars, the pillars look like colossal, ancient stalagmites rising from the floor of a cosmic cave. They are textured with shadowed ridges and glowing, ethereal wisps of blue, gold, and crimson. But these quiet monuments are not merely beautiful sculptures. They are the active, silent incubators of new worlds. Deep within the darkest, densest knots of these dust clouds, gravity is slowly, patiently pulling material together, wrapping it in a cocoon of warmth until a new star finally ignites. It is a sanctuary of becoming, a place where the universe takes its time to carefully, gently sculpt the next generation of light. Let your physical body feel exactly as heavy and settled as those ancient columns of dust, rooted firmly and safely in the absolute comfort of your bed, while your mind continues to softly expand. As these new stars are born and brilliant galaxies slowly rotate, you might wonder what invisible force holds such a colossal, spinning architecture together in the dark. If we were to measure only the visible light, the glowing stars, the luminous gas, the radiant dust, there simply is not enough mass to keep a galaxy like the Milky Way from gracefully flying apart as it spins. The secret to this cosmic stability lies in something completely unseen, a massive protective sphere known as the dark matter halo. Every galaxy we observe is enveloped in this vast invisible scaffolding. We cannot touch it, we cannot see it, and it does not interact with light in any way. It reveals its presence only through the gentle, persistent, and loving pull of its gravity. This dark matter halo extends far beyond the visible spiral arms, cradling the entire galaxy in a massive, heavy, and eternal embrace. It is a profound comfort to realize that the universe is largely held together by forces we cannot even see. We do not have to understand every single mechanism for the world to remain perfectly secure. Just as the dark matter quietly holds the stars in their graceful orbits, you are being held. The unseen forces of gravity are doing all the work for you, giving you absolute permission to completely release your grip. Let us drift effortlessly away from the structure of the galaxy and consider the very texture of the space that surrounds it. When we imagine the void between the stars, we often think of an absolute freezing realm devoid of any warmth at all. But space is not completely cold. It hums with the faintest, gentlest residual warmth of creation itself. Pervading every single inch of the universe is a gentle wash of ancient energy, known as the cosmic microwave background. This is the oldest light in existence, the softly glowing embers of the Big Bang, stretched and cooled by the expansion of space over nearly 14 billion years. Today, this ancient radiation bathes the cosmos in a steady temperature of just under 3 degrees above absolute zero. It is an incredibly faint heat, but it is everywhere, completely uniform, filling the darkest voids and the empty spaces between the galaxies. You're surrounded by the afterglow of the universe's very first breath. Imagine this faint, primordial warmth as a soft, comforting presence, an invisible layer of safety that has persisted since the literal dawn of time. As you sink deeper into your mattress, let your own body temperature perfectly regulate, finding that ideal, balanced state between the cool air of the room and the comforting weight of your blankets. Woven gracefully through this ancient, faint warmth, our Milky Way is slowly painting an invisible masterpiece with the remnants of its long past. As our massive galaxy travels through the cosmos, its immense gravity occasionally captures smaller, dwarf galaxies that wander too close. But this is not an aggressive or violent process. It is a slow, delicate unravelling that takes billions of years to unfold. As a tiny dwarf galaxy is gently pulled in, it is stretched into long, elegant ribbons of stars known to astronomers as stellar streams. These quiet rivers of starlight wrap around the Milky Way like glowing threads of silk, arching high over the galactic disk in magnificent, sweeping, looping patterns. Astronomers mapping the night sky have found dozens of these celestial ribbons, each one a soft, luminous memory of a galaxy that gracefully gave its light to make our own sky brighter. It is a beautiful cosmic recycling, an endless merging of celestial rivers, proving that nothing in the universe is ever truly destroyed, only gently transformed into a new, sweeping shape. As you follow these long, graceful arcs of ancient starlight looping endlessly through the darkness, your own thoughts can begin to stretch and slow, unravelling from the tight, complicated knots of the day and transforming into a smooth, quiet stream of consciousness that flows effortlessly, continuously, toward the edge of a deep and profoundly restoring sleep. As that quiet stream of consciousness flows outward, it joins the grand, turning carousel of the Milky Way itself. Within the sweeping architecture of our galaxy, there exists a beautifully balanced boundary known as the corrotation circle. In most parts of the galaxy, the glowing spiral arms rotate at a different speed than the individual stars, meaning that stars are constantly drifting in and out of these dense ribbons of light, much like cars moving through a slow, majestic traffic jam. But at the exact distance of the corrotation circle, the stars and the spiral arms are moving at precisely the exact same speed. Here, a star can remain resting within the comforting glow of its spiral arm for millions of years, perfectly synchronized with the turning of the galaxy. Our own sun sits remarkably close to this harmonious boundary. We're not rushing ahead, nor are we falling behind. We're moving in perfect, serene lockstep with the very structure of the cosmos. This gentle, synchronized pacing means our solar system has been sheltered from the chaotic, brilliant bursts of star formation that occur when dust lanes collide. It is a profound cosmic harmony, a perfect balance of speed and stillness. You too can find this exact point of balance right now, nestled in the safety of this moment, perfectly synchronized with the quiet rhythm of the night, neither rushing toward tomorrow nor holding on to yesterday. If we were to gather all the light from this perfectly balanced galaxy and blend it with the light of every other galaxy, star and glowing nebula in the observable universe, we would discover something remarkably soothing about the true colour of the cosmos. When astrophysicists measured the average spectrum of light emitted by over 200,000 galaxies, they expected to find a blinding white or a stark icy blue. Instead, they discovered that the universe, in its entirety, glows with a very soft, warm, creamy shade of off-white. Scientists playfully named this exact hue cosmic latte. It is a gentle, comforting colour, much like the shade of old parchment or the very first, subtle warmth of morning light touching a frosted window. This warm hue tells the story of an aging, maturing universe. In its fiery, ancient youth, the cosmos was dominated by brilliant blue stars, but as those massive stars gently burned out, the softer, longer-lasting yellow and red stars became the dominant light. The entire universe has mellowed over time, softening its glare, shifting from a brilliant, energetic youth into a calm, golden maturity. You can picture this soft, creamy light now, a gentle, warming glow enveloping the edges of your awareness, smoothing out any sharp edges or harsh thoughts that linger in the mind. As that soft, warm light filters through the vastness of space, it gently illuminates an invisible, perpetual snowfall descending upon our world. Every single day, thousands of tons of cosmic dust quietly drift down through the Earth's atmosphere, settling upon the ground, the oceans, and the leaves of the trees. These are micrometeorites, tiny ancient fragments of comets, asteroids, and shattered stars, many no larger than a grain of sand or the width of a human hair. They do not burn brightly as shooting stars. They are too small, too delicate. Instead, they simply float downward, a silent, invisible rain of stardust blanketing the planet in a continuous microscopic embrace. You have walked through this cosmic snowfall your entire life without ever knowing it. There is stardust resting on the roof of your home, and ancient extraterrestrial minerals woven into the soil of your garden. It is a beautiful reminder that we are never truly separated from the sky. The universe is constantly, softly reaching down to touch the Earth. As this silent cosmic snow falls through the cool night air, notice how your own breath settles into a deep, regular rhythm. The muscles in your jaw can relax, the tension in your shoulders can completely melt away, and your body can grow wonderfully heavy, anchored safely beneath this invisible, ancient shower of stars. Floating gently upward through that falling dust, we turn our attention to the quietest, most patient inhabitants of the galactic neighbourhood. Scattered abundantly throughout the Milky Way are the red dwarfs, the smallest, coolest, and most common type of star in existence. While massive, brilliant blue stars burn furiously and exhaust their energy in just a few million years, red dwarfs are the ultimate masters of endurance. Because they are so small, their internal fusion burns at an incredibly slow, perfectly measured pace. A single red dwarf can comfortably sustain its soft, glowing warmth for trillions of years. This lifespan is so immensely long that, since the very dawn of the universe almost 14 billion years ago, not a single red dwarf has ever died. They are the eternal embers of the cosmos, burning with a calm, deep crimson glow, hoarding their fuel with beautiful rhythmic efficiency. When you consider the vast, unbroken lifespan of a red dwarf, the hurried pace of human time begins to lose its grip. The rushing of the clock, the pressure of a deadline, these things gently dissolve in the face of a star that measures its life in trillions of years. Time in the universe is not running out. There is an infinite, sprawling abundance of it, offering endless space to simply be. Orbiting within the soft light of distant stars, we occasionally find structures of such breathtaking scale and delicate geometry that they seem almost like an illusion. Far beyond our own solar system, in the constellation of Centaurus, sits a massive exoplanet known as J1407b. While Saturn in our own neighbourhood is famous for its beautiful rings, this distant alien world is surrounded by a ring system that is 200 times larger. It possesses over 30 massive concentric rings composed of frozen water, glittering rock, and ancient dust, stretching out for tens of millions of miles into the dark. If this spectacular world were placed where our own Saturn sits, its rings would absolutely dominate our night sky, appearing many times larger and brighter than the full moon. Imagine looking up into the dark and seeing vast, sweeping, luminous arcs of ice stretching from one horizon to the other, casting long, soft, majestic shadows across the rings themselves. The gaps within these immense rings are carved by the gentle gravity of unseen moons, slowly sweeping the dust aside to create perfect, dark, concentric pathways. It is a silent, rotating mandala of ice and stone, a masterpiece of celestial mechanics spinning flawlessly in the deep cold, radiating a perfect, mesmerizing geometry that calms the chaotic, wandering mind. The deep cold where these colossal rings reside is part of the interstellar medium, a vast ocean of space that, while incredibly empty, still carries the faintest breath of a cosmic wind. Our own sun exhales a continuous invisible stream of charged particles known as the solar wind, creating a protective magnetic bubble around our entire solar system called the heliosphere. For billions of miles, this warm solar breath pushes outward, shielding the Earth and the planets from the deeper, colder currents of the galaxy. But eventually, at the very edge of our solar system, this outward push meets the gentle inward resistance of the interstellar medium. This quiet boundary is called the heliopause. It is a place of profound transition, where the familiar warmth of our native star finally fades, blending seamlessly into the vast ancient currents of the wider Milky Way. There is no violent collision here, just a gentle, unseen meeting of atmospheres in the absolute dark. It is the tranquil edge of our cosmic backyard. As your mind drifts along this quiet, distant frontier, you can feel the boundaries of your own awareness softening. You do not need to hold tightly to where you begin or where the world ends. You can simply let your thoughts blend into the quiet atmosphere of the room, completely safe, comfortably nestled within your own protective, warm sphere of rest. As we gaze out past that quiet boundary, deep into the ancient layers of the cosmos, we discover that space itself is not rigidly fixed, but is wonderfully flexible, bending and curving like a lens of pure, invisible glass. When astronomers point their telescopes toward massive, dense clusters of galaxies, they observe a phenomenon called gravitational lensing. The sheer collective mass of thousands of galaxies creates a gravitational pull so immense that it physically warps the fabric of space-time around it. When the light from an even more distant, older galaxy travels toward us, it passes through this warped region and is gently bent, magnified, and stretched into beautiful, luminous arcs and perfect rings. The universe has constructed its own colossal magnifying glasses, allowing us to peer into the deepest recesses of time, revealing faint ancient galaxies that would otherwise be permanently hidden in the dark. It is a beautiful optical illusion crafted by gravity, transforming the night sky into a gallery of soft, curved mirrors. This bending of light is a gentle reminder that perspective changes everything. What seems hidden or lost in the dark may simply require a different lens, a softer angle, or a moment of quiet magnification to be seen in a completely new, radiant and beautifully distorted light. Just beyond the curved, magnificent edge of our own Milky Way, two smaller, glowing companions are engaged in an eternal, slow-motion waltz around our galactic home. These are the Magellanic Clouds, two irregular dwarf galaxies bound to the Milky Way by the invisible, elastic thread of gravity. Visible from the southern hemisphere of Earth as soft, luminous smudges of light against the blackness, These galaxies have been slowly orbiting our own for billions of years. They are like small, glowing satellites, carrying their own nebulae, their own ancient star clusters, and their own quiet cosmic histories. As they gracefully circle the Milky Way, their gravitational interaction gently tugs at the edges of our galaxy, creating a subtle, rippling wave in the outer disk of stars, much like a stone dropped softly into a calm pond. In return, the Milky Way draws a thin, invisible stream of gas from the clouds, feeding the birth of new stars. It is a celestial partnership, a quiet exchange of energy and light happening on an unimaginably vast scale. There is no urgency in this dance. An orbit takes more than 1 billion years to complete. It is a slow, enduring companionship suspended in the void, a testament to the way gravity gently tethers the universe together, ensuring that even in the vastness of space, nothing is ever truly isolated. Nestled within the sweeping streams of these galactic companions are pockets of space that harbour conditions of absolute, breathtaking stillness. Among the most remarkable of these is the Boomerang Nebula, a dying star gracefully shedding its outer layers into the surrounding void. As this gas expands outward at incredible speeds, it cools dramatically, creating a mesmerizing, glowing cloud that currently holds the title for the coldest known natural place in the entire universe. The temperature within the heart of the Boomerang Nebula has dropped to a staggering 1 degree Kelvin, which is colder than the ancient background radiation of the Big Bang itself. It is a realm of absolute crystalline chill, a place where the frenetic energy of atoms slows almost to a complete halt, freezing the light and the gas into a spectacular, hourglass-shaped monument of ice and silence. Yet this extreme cold is not harsh. It is the ultimate preservation, a profound, unbroken stillness where nothing changes and nothing decays. As you imagine the pure, unblemished chill of this distant nebula, notice how the cool, fresh air of your own room feels against your skin. The mind can become as still and clear as that frozen cosmic cloud, dropping all excess energy, cooling the fiery thoughts of the day, and settling into a state of absolute peaceful preservation. From the frozen stillness of isolated nebulae, we pull our vision back once more to see the grandest, most majestic movement of all. Our Milky Way, along with the Magellanic Clouds, the Andromeda Galaxy, and over 100,000 other neighbouring galaxies, is part of a colossal migration across the universe. We're all being slowly, inevitably drawn toward a mysterious and incredibly massive region of space known as the Great Attractor. Located hundreds of millions of light years away, hidden behind the dense, dusty centre of our own galaxy, the Great Attractor holds a gravitational pull so immense that it is bending the trajectories of entire superclusters. We do not know exactly what lies at the heart of this massive anomaly, because the bright, swirling dust of our own Milky Way acts as a beautiful, glowing curtain, obscuring our view of the destination. But there is a deep, profound comfort in this immense cosmic flow. You do not need to know the final destination to appreciate the beauty of the journey. The entire local universe is moving together, a vast, luminous river of galaxies flowing smoothly along the invisible currents of gravity. We're all drifting toward a grand, unseen horizon, carried by forces far older and larger than ourselves, floating safely on a dark, majestic tide that softly pulls us forward into the deeper, quieter mysteries of the unfolding night. As we are carried by this dark, majestic tide into the deeper mysteries of the unfolding night, we can feel the subtle, comforting textures of the space immediately surrounding us. Our entire solar system is currently coasting through a beautifully soft, ethereal structure known to astronomers as the local interstellar cloud, often affectionately called the local fluff. Imagine a delicate 30 light-year wide wisp of warm, softly glowing hydrogen and dust, bathed in the faint ambient starlight of ancient suns. This cloud is so unimaginably diffuse and delicate that if you were to capture a handful of its mist, it would seem completely empty to the human eye. Yet, We have been sailing through this gentle, invisible structure for tens of thousands of years, moving silently and steadily through its translucent folds. It is a cosmic veil, a quiet atmosphere resting between the stars, acting as a soft cushion against the vastness of the absolute void. Just as the Earth has its weather, our sun is wrapped in this magnificent drifting cloud of deep space velvet. You can picture this soft cosmic mist gently wrapping around your own awareness, a comforting, insulating layer that filters out the sharp noises of the world, leaving you perfectly swaddled in the quiet, undisturbed warmth of the night. While we glide effortlessly through this delicate mist of hydrogen, an even more elusive, almost magical presence is flowing through the room with you right now. Trillions of microscopic, massless particles called neutrinos are raining down from the heavens, passing through the roof, slipping effortlessly through your blankets, and travelling straight through your body at nearly the speed of light. They are born in the fiery, chaotic hearts of massive stars and in the blinding flashes of ancient supernovae, yet they interact with almost nothing in the physical world. They do not bump into your cells. They do not leave a trace of their passage. They pass through the solid crust of the Earth as easily as a beam of light passes through a pane of clear glass. They are the universe's ultimate ghost particles, silent messengers from the deepest corners of the galaxy, washing over you in a constant, invisible and harmless river. There is an immense, profound lightness in this truth. It reminds us that the solid world is mostly open space, highly permeable, and that we are completely transparent to the grandest forces of the cosmos. As these invisible particles flow smoothly through you, let them carry away any lingering physical tension, leaving your body feeling porous, weightless, and entirely unburdened. This sense of profound weightlessness allows the breath to settle perfectly into its natural rhythmic tide. There is no need to hold on to any heavy expectations, no requirement to perform for anyone, and absolutely no pressure to shine brightly. Deep within the galaxy, there are entire populations of celestial bodies that perfectly embody this state of restful non-performance. These are the brown dwarfs, often referred to by astronomers as the failed stars. When they were forming from great swirling clouds of dust and gas, they gathered enough mass to grow large and heavy, but not quite enough to ignite the roaring, brilliant fires of nuclear fusion. Instead of bursting into blinding, exhausting light, they simply settled. They glow with a faint, beautiful, deep magenta or dark crimson heat, radiating a soft, gentle warmth into the surrounding dark without ever burning themselves out. They are the quiet, glowing embers of the universe, resting peacefully without the furious, demanding energy of a blazing sun. They remind us that there is profound beauty and deep value in simply being, without the need to be the brightest or the loudest presence in the sky. You can allow yourself to be exactly like a brown dwarf tonight, glowing softly with your own quiet, internal warmth, perfectly content to exist in the restful, soothing shadows, completely free from any demand to illuminate the world. In the deepest reaches of these quiet shadows, we sometimes find celestial arrangements so intimately connected that they feel like an embrace of pure cosmic poetry. Theoretical astrophysics describes a rare, magnificent, and incredibly gentle structure known as a Thorne-Zitkoff object. Imagine a massive, dying red supergiant star, swelling outward as it gracefully ages until it completely envelops a tiny, ultra-dense neutron star. Instead of a violent, destructive collision, the neutron star simply sinks deep into the heart of the red giant and rests there, becoming a star safely nested inside another star. The outer layer provides a vast, glowing, protective blanket of plasma, while the inner core anchors them both with its immense, steady and unwavering gravity. It is the ultimate celestial sanctuary, a profound physical merging where two distinct ancient bodies share a single, radiant existence, balancing perfectly in the dark. Picture the enveloping warmth of that massive red star wrapping completely and securely around its dense, quiet centre. As your body sinks deeper and heavier into the mattress, you can feel a similar profound sense of being held. You're safely nested within the heavy layers of your blankets, within the familiar walls of your room, completely enveloped by the quiet, protective embrace of the sleeping world around you. Drifting slowly outward from this cozy nested warmth, the universe suddenly opens up into breathtaking, flawless geometry. In the constellation of Serpens, hundreds of millions of light years away, there is a mesmerizing galaxy known as Hoag's Object, which defies all the typical chaotic spirals and messy sprawling shapes of the cosmos. It is a perfect, luminous ring of young, brilliant blue stars, completely detached and separated from its own center. In the very middle of this structure sits a spherical, glowing core of older, golden yellow stars, and between the two is an immense, dark, completely empty gap stretching for tens of thousands of light years. It is a colossal wheel of light rotating flawlessly and silently around a golden hub. What makes this serene, symmetrical structure even more wondrous is that if you look closely through the vast, dark gap between the rings, you can see another, completely different ring galaxy, millions of light years further in the background, perfectly framed within the empty space. It is a masterpiece of cosmic framing, an elegant alignment of perfect circles suspended in the limitless black ocean of the void. It feels almost deliberate, a moment of profound cosmic stillness. Let the soothing, flawless symmetry of those glowing rings smooth out the tangled, complicated and asymmetrical thoughts of your day, replacing them with a sense of pure, harmonious and beautiful order. Even our own familiar Milky Way, when viewed from a distance, possesses a subtle, elegant geometry that defies our simplest, rigid expectations. We often picture our home galaxy as a perfectly flat, stiff disk, much like a spinning plate of brilliant stars, but the physical truth is far more graceful and yielding. The Milky Way is gently warped, its vast outer edges curving upward on one side and dipping gracefully downward on the other, much like the slow, rippling brim of a sun hat, or a dark vinyl record left softly bending in the warmth of the sun. This elegant, sweeping S-curve is likely caused by the gentle, pulling gravity of smaller satellite galaxies passing nearby, creating a slow, rippling wave that travels through the starry disk over billions of years. Our galaxy is not a stiff, unyielding object. It is wonderfully flexible, fluid, and beautifully responsive to its environment. It yields to the gentle tug of its neighbours, swaying gracefully in the dark, silent ocean of space. The mind can simply drift along these vast, curving ripples. There is no need for anything in your life to be rigidly perfect or perfectly straight right now. You can allow your own posture to soften, letting your spine relax fully into the natural, comforting curves of your bed, perfectly supported by the gentle gravity holding you exactly where you need to be. Following those slow, curving ripples inward toward the older regions of the galaxy, we encounter solitary watchers that have borne witness to nearly the entire history of time itself. Just a couple of hundred light years from Earth, there is a faint, fast-moving star formerly catalogued as HD 140283, but known to those who study it simply and respectfully as the Methuselah star. This incredibly old point of light is composed almost entirely of pure hydrogen and helium, entirely lacking the heavier complex elements found in younger stars like our own Sun. This stark chemical purity reveals a staggering truth. The Methuselah star was born over 13.5 billion years ago, forming in the absolute earliest, quietest moments of the universe, just after the initial primordial darkness finally cleared. It has survived the turbulent merging of ancient galaxies, the violent, brilliant explosions of neighbouring suns, and the slow, stretching, majestic expansion of space itself. It is a quiet survivor, an ancient, glowing monument to endurance that has witnessed the birth of the very galaxy itself. It is profoundly comforting to know that some things simply last. The ancient, unwavering light of this primordial star stands as a silent, steady guardian in the night sky, watching over the eons, holding a deep, unbroken memory of the universe's very first peaceful dawn. This deep, ancient history reminds us that time and pressure are the slow, patient artists of the cosmos, capable of creating unimaginable hidden beauty deep within the atmospheres of distant, quiet worlds. On the icy giant planets of our own neighbourhood, Neptune and Uranus, scientists believe a miraculous slow-motion weather phenomenon is constantly and silently taking place. Deep beneath their thick blue swirling atmospheres, the intense crushing pressure and the dark heat squeeze the abundant methane gas until the carbon atoms snap together, crystallizing into pure solid diamonds. These glittering gems, heavier than the surrounding fluid, begin to slowly, inevitably sink. It is a silent, unending precipitation of diamonds, falling gracefully through dark oceans of liquid carbon and icy water, descending slowly toward the very core of the planet over thousands of years. There is no sound to this precipitation, no thunder, no howling wind, only the quiet, heavy descent of perfect carbon crystals through the dark. Imagine millions of faceted stones drifting gently downward through a dark, sapphire blue abyss, a spectacular hidden treasure completely untouched by human hands, existing purely for its own majestic, silent beauty deep within a darkened world. Let this image of heavy, falling jewels pull your awareness deeply downward, a slow, mesmerizing descent into the heaviest, most restorative, and deepest levels of physical relaxation. Far beyond the orbits of those jewel-filled icy giants, far past the fading warmth of our sun, our solar system is enclosed in a massive protective bubble of ancient ice known as the Oort cloud. This is not a flat ring, but a colossal spherical shell, a majestic, shimmering boundary marking the absolute furthest reach of our sun's gentle gravitational hold. It is populated by trillions of slow-moving, frozen comets, drifting through the dark like solitary, icy sentinels, faintly reflecting the distant, microscopic pinprick of light that is our sun. The Oort cloud is so unimaginably distant that a single, solitary comet might take millions of years to complete just one single orbit around the solar system. It is a region of ultimate, enduring patience, where motion is so incredibly slow it is almost completely imperceptible to the human mind. This vast, icy sphere acts as a soft, porous wall between the familiar active territory of our planets and the deep, unknown, ancient currents of interstellar space. It is a quiet, frozen frontier that wraps our entire cosmic neighbourhood in a comforting, protective embrace. You are cocooned deep within this massive sphere, insulated from the rest of the busy galaxy by trillions of silent, watchful guardians of ice, allowing absolutely nothing to disturb the profound, settling peace of your personal sanctuary. Nestled safely at the very centre of all these protective layers, our own blue planet is not sitting in complete silence. It is quietly singing to the surrounding galaxy. The Earth possesses a powerful, invisible magnetic field that constantly interacts with the charged, glowing particles flowing outward from the Sun. As these particles are swept up in the planet's magnetic lines, they generate incredibly low-frequency electromagnetic waves. When scientists use specialized receivers to translate these invisible magnetic waves into human audio, they hear a beautiful, chaotic symphony of chirps, whistles, and ascending melodic tones. Because it sounds so remarkably like a flock of birds waking up in the morning, astrophysicists have beautifully named this phenomenon the dawn chorus. It is Earth's own natural music, a soft electronic birdsong broadcasting continuously into the cold, silent vacuum of space, a song of pure existence. As we lie resting heavily under the blanket of the night sky, our planet is humming a soft, continuous lullaby to the stars, an invisible, melodic vibration that harmonizes perfectly with the deep, slow turning of the Milky Way. This song acts as a gentle acoustic bridge, a comforting planetary resonance that carries us softly, steadily, and peacefully forward, deeper into the vast unfolding harmony of the journey that still lies ahead. As we travel forward along this melodic path, we find that the galaxy does not reveal all its magnificent secrets at once. It intimately knows the deep, restful value of a beautifully closed curtain. From our vantage point safely inside the sweeping disk of the Milky Way, there is a vast, sprawling region of the night sky completely obscured by the thick, glowing dust of our own galactic plane. Astronomers quietly refer to this hidden expanse as the zone of avoidance. Behind this dense, radiant veil of starlight and heavy floating gas lies an estimated 20% of the entire observable universe, completely and permanently hidden from our human eyes. We cannot see the distant galaxies, the ancient superclusters, or the massive cosmic structures resting peacefully behind it. Imagine it as a spectacular glowing partition, a heavy velvet curtain woven from crushed diamonds and suspended softly across the cosmos. This intentionally hidden region gently reminds us that we do not need to see everything, nor do we need to know everything, to appreciate the profound beauty of exactly where we are. There is a deep, intrinsic comfort in a mystery that does not demand to be solved. The tired mind does not need to pierce the space behind the curtain. It can simply rest in the warm, ambient glow of the dust itself, allowing the unknown to remain peacefully veiled, safe, and entirely undisturbed in the dark. Drifting just a little closer to the thickest, heaviest bands of that glowing dust, we discover pockets of absolute, impenetrable darkness that act as the universe's most carefully insulated nurseries. These are the Bok globules, isolated, remarkably dense clouds of cosmic dust and intensely cold molecular gas. They are so incredibly thick and concentrated that they completely absorb and block out the brilliant, piercing light of the thousands of background stars shining directly behind them. Against a luminous, crowded starfield, a Bok globule looks like a perfect ink-black silhouette, a quiet, soothing droplet of pure shadow resting against the light. But these dark spaces are not empty voids. They are the safest, most sheltered places in the entire galaxy. Deep within their freezing, heavily insulated cores, shielded entirely from the chaotic, high-energy radiation of the surrounding universe, newborn stars are slowly and peacefully gathering the soft mass they need to ignite. They are wrapped in a colossal, celestial sleep mask, cocooned in absolute unbroken darkness so they can grow without the slightest disturbance. You can let your own eyes rest just like this, sinking into the heavy, comforting velvet of the dark behind your eyelids. Trust that this quiet shadow is a place of profound healing, a private sanctuary where your own vital energy can slowly, naturally, and beautifully replenish. Leaving the heavy, protective stillness of those dark nurseries behind, we drift out past the edges of the galaxy and into the wider, incredibly vast ocean of intergalactic space, where galaxies themselves move with an effortless, aquatic grace. Gliding through the dense, superheated plasma that fills massive galaxy clusters are the breathtaking jellyfish galaxies. As these stunning, spiraling star systems plunge through the intergalactic medium, the sheer, gentle pressure of their long journey pushes their loose gas and dust backwards, stripping it gracefully away from the main disk. This slow, continuous motion creates incredibly long, luminous, trailing tentacles of bright blue, newly formed stars that stretch out behind them for thousands of light years into the void. They look like magnificent, glowing sea creatures, swimming in profound silence through the infinite black depths of the cosmos. Their movement is slow, fluid, and profoundly elegant. They do not fight the immense currents of space. They simply let their beautiful starry trails drift behind them, casting off whatever heavy material they no longer need to carry. Let your own mind effortlessly mimic this fluid, unburdened motion. If there are stray thoughts or lingering worries clinging to your awareness, simply let them detach and drift away behind you, releasing them into the dark, feeling yourself becoming lighter and smoother as you glide deeper and deeper into profound rest. This sense of growing physically and mentally lighter becomes wonderfully literal when we visit one of the most delightfully unexpected discoveries in modern astronomy. Deep in the constellation of Cygnus, orbiting a warm yellow star very similar to our own Sun, are three magnificent worlds known as the Kepler-51 exoplanets. These planets are massive, swelling out to the exact same size as the giant Jupiter, yet they possess less than 1% of Jupiter's heavy, crushing mass. They're composed almost entirely of light, expanding hydrogen and helium, making their overall density almost identical to that of spun cotton candy. Imagine a world the size of an entire gas giant, but so incredibly airy, so unbelievably unburdened, that if you could somehow find an ocean large enough to hold it, the entire planet would effortlessly float on the surface like a bright, puffed, and weightless cloud. If you were to descend into their atmosphere, you would not hit a hard, solid surface. You would simply drift through endless, thickening layers of warm, hazy mist. It is a whimsical, uplifting reality, proving that the universe is capable of crafting worlds of absolute, delightful levity. Your own limbs can begin to feel this same airy lightness now. The heavy gravity of the day is lifting, the dense pressure of your physical frame is dissolving, leaving you feeling as though you are floating, perfectly buoyed by the soft, supportive and cloud-like layers of your bed. Floating gently outward from those airy, cloud-like spheres, we arrive at a tranquil world where the geometry of light paints the evening sky in a continuously shifting, doubled masterpiece. This is Kepler-16b, a planet perfectly, securely balanced in the gravitational embrace of not one, but two central stars. It is a circumbinary world, meaning it orbits gracefully around a central pair of suns that are themselves engaged in an endless, intimate waltz in the dark. If you could stand on the quiet, sweeping surface of this distant world, you would never see a simple, single sunset. Instead, as the evening gently approaches, the sky would wash with a magnificent, overlapping palette of rich colours, perhaps a deep, warm crimson radiating from the smaller, cooler star, blending seamlessly with a bright, luminous gold from its larger, hotter companion. Two distinct, radiant orbs would slowly, simultaneously descend toward the horizon, casting two sets of long, soft, stretching shadows across the tranquil, silent landscape. The light is never harsh, only beautifully layered, complex and deeply soothing, offering a slow, synchronized fading of the day. This double twilight is a gentle, cosmic reminder that the universe always offers more than one perspective, more than one source of warmth, and more than one path to finding perfect peace as the night softly closes in. Finding peace in the quiet turning of the celestial spheres brings us back to a deeply mesmerizing rhythm unfolding right in our own local backyard. At the very top of the magnificent ringed planet Saturn, crowning its northern pole, rests a massive, enduring storm shaped as a perfect, flawless hexagon. This geometric marvel is so unimaginably immense that 4 entire Earths could fit comfortably inside its sharp, 6-sided borders. For many decades, and perhaps for centuries, this hexagonal jet stream has been spinning continuously in the deep, freezing atmosphere, maintaining its striking, rigid angles in a fluid world of swirling, chaotic gas. It is a breathtaking masterclass in fluid dynamics, a colossal standing wave where the roaring winds of a giant planet somehow organize themselves into a brilliant symbol of absolute stability and perfect geometric order. Imagine this colossal spinning shape resting silently in the dark, a rotating endless mandala of muted amber, gold and pale icy blue clouds. The human mind deeply loves the comfort of pattern and the predictable safety of order. You can allow the spinning, wandering thoughts of your own mind to organize themselves into a similarly quiet, stable pattern, finding a profound, resting stillness even while the world continues to quietly turn all around you. That same sense of spinning, flawless order can be found on a much grander, unimaginable scale, roughly 28 million light-years from Earth. Here, the magnificent Sombrero Galaxy floats completely isolated in the intergalactic void, tilting just enough for us to witness its breathtaking, unblemished symmetry. It features a brilliant, bulbous, glowing white core of ancient, tightly packed stars, encircled by an incredibly wide, perfectly flat and sharply defined lane of thick, dark dust. From our distant vantage point, this dark ring looks exactly like the wide, elegant brim of a cosmic hat, casting a deep, sharp and beautiful shadow against the luminous spherical heart of the galaxy itself. It is widely considered one of the most photogenic and structurally perfect objects in the entire known universe. There are no messy, trailing arms, no chaotic bursts of irregular light, only a clean, pristine and perfectly balanced disk, spinning gracefully in total, unbroken silence. It is a towering monument to cosmic elegance and restraint. Let the image of this glowing, perfectly balanced disk softly anchor your attention. Nothing needs to be held too tightly. The body simply grows heavier, the breath settles into a long, slow, effortless rhythm, and the mind can gently drift along that smooth, unbroken ring of dust, circling endlessly in the comfortable, heavy dark. Slipping smoothly away from that perfectly balanced galaxy, we occasionally receive quiet, solitary visitors from the deepest, most uncharted and coldest oceans of space. In recent years, astronomers have detected incredibly rare, fast-moving objects passing through our solar system that do not belong to our local sun. These are the interstellar wanderers, ancient comets, or deeply elongated, icy asteroids that were gently ejected from their own native star systems billions of years ago. They have spent eons drifting completely alone through the frigid, empty expanse between the stars, bathed only in the absolute darkest chill of the galaxy, carrying the frozen dust of worlds that may no longer even exist. They enter our solar system quietly, pass briefly through the warming golden light of our sun, and then gracefully curve back out into the infinite void, never to return. They are the ultimate solitary travellers, completely unbound by the gravity of any single star, passing through the cosmos like silent ghost ships in the deep night. There is a profound, romantic peacefulness in their endless, unbothered journey. As you drift closer and closer toward deep sleep, you can embody the spirit of the interstellar wanderer, completely unattached to the heavy worries of the waking world, simply passing effortlessly through this quiet moment, warmly embraced by the dark. As these solitary, icy wanderers pass the massive striped sphere of Jupiter, they might glide entirely unknowingly through an invisible sea of sweeping melodic energy. Much like our own Earth, the massive magnetic field of Jupiter catches the relentless solar wind, but on a scale that is exponentially more powerful and grand. When passing spacecraft have recorded the electromagnetic plasma waves surging through Jupiter's vast magnetosphere and translated them into human sound, the result is astonishingly beautiful. It does not sound like static or chaotic noise. It sounds like the slow, echoing, resonant tones of a deep-sea synthesizer, or the long, sweeping, melancholy calls of whales echoing slowly through a dark, submerged canyon. It is an ambient, undulating and profoundly relaxing acoustic landscape, generated entirely by the invisible interaction of charged particles and immense, unwavering gravity. The largest planet in our solar system is perpetually bathed in this slow, ambient music, an oceanic hum vibrating constantly through the cold vacuum of space. You can imagine these slow, sweeping, resonant waves gently washing over your own mind, long, descending, beautiful tones that gently lower your brainwaves, coaxing you away from the active, alert frequencies of the day and safely down into the slow, healing rhythm of sleep. This slow, descending planetary frequency perfectly prepares us to enter one of the most profoundly empty, still, and peaceful regions ever mapped by human minds. Directly adjacent to our own bustling, crowded neighbourhood of swirling galaxies lies a vast, silent expanse known simply to astronomers as the local void. Measuring over 150 million light-years across, this colossal, three-dimensional pocket of space is almost entirely devoid of stars, galaxies, or any form of luminous matter. It is a stunning, magnificent cosmic clearing, an immense, open, and totally silent courtyard resting right next door to our brightly lit galactic home. If you were to travel into the absolute heart of the local void and look back, our entire Milky Way and all its glowing neighbours would appear as nothing more than a faint, distant cluster of fireflies, while everything else around you in every direction would be pure, unbroken, absolute black. It is without question the quietest, most undisturbed room in the observable universe. There is absolutely nothing to do here, nothing you must see, and absolutely nothing to interact with. It is a grand space designed by nature for total, uncompromised rest. As we drift slowly into the centre of this magnificent dark clearing, you can finally release the very last threads of your conscious grip. Let the absolute pure stillness of the local void completely fill your mind, a perfect, frictionless silence where the only thing that remains is the slow, steady, reassuring rhythm of your breathing, carrying you deeper, heavier, and softer into the gentle, undisturbed abyss. Even within that magnificent, undisturbed abyss, the universe is not truly empty. It is bound together by an invisible, elegant architecture of staggering proportions. When astrophysicists map the large-scale structure of the cosmos, they discover that galaxies are not randomly scattered through the void. Instead, they are arranged along colossal glowing filaments of dark matter and ancient gas, forming what is known as the cosmic web. These immense threads stretch for hundreds of millions of light-years, crossing the absolute dark to meet at brilliantly bright clustered nodes where thousands of galaxies congregate. What is most profoundly beautiful about this sweeping cosmic architecture is its uncanny resemblance to the microscopic neural pathways of the human brain. The grandest, largest structure in the known universe mirrors the intricate, quiet network inside your own mind. It is as if the cosmos itself is a single, vast, and resting consciousness, dreaming in the dark. You're a seamless, integral part of this grand design, a quiet node of awareness connected to the infinite. As you picture these long, softly glowing threads of light stretching safely across the void, you can allow your own mind to simply rest, perfectly cradled within the ancient structural embrace of the universe. Through these vast, sprawling filaments, silent ripples continuously travel, washing over entire galaxies like slow, invisible ocean swells. These are gravitational waves, a phenomenon first imagined by Albert Einstein and only recently heard by human instruments. When incredibly massive objects, like two ancient black holes, merge together in the distant reaches of space, the sheer power of their union physically warps the fabric of space-time itself. This creates a wave that expands outward in all directions, travelling at the speed of a light for billions of years until it quietly washes over the Earth. As these ancient ripples pass through our planet and right through the room where you are resting, they gently stretch and squeeze everything in their path by a distance smaller than the width of a single atom. It is a completely imperceptible, microscopic massage from the deepest corners of the cosmos. You are being continuously, softly rocked by the echoes of ancient cosmic dances. There is nothing you need to do to receive this energy. It simply flows through you, a gentle, rhythmic reminder that the universe is not a rigid, unyielding place, but a soft, flexible fabric that easily absorbs and dissipates the heaviest impacts of time. You do not need to feel these ancient ripples, just as you do not need to track the quiet, passing moments of the night. Time is not running out. In fact, from a planetary perspective, time is literally expanding and slowing down. High above the Earth, our pale, glowing moon is engaged in an incredibly slow, graceful retreat. Every single year, the moon drifts about 1.5 inches further away from our planet. This is exactly the same speed at which your fingernails grow, a completely natural, imperceptible, and organic pace. As the moon slowly distances itself, its gravitational pull acts as a gentle brake on the Earth's oceans, gradually slowing the rotation of our world. Hundreds of millions of years ago, a single day on Earth lasted only 18 hours. Slowly, patiently, the friction of the tides has stretched our days out to 24 hours, and it continues to lengthen them, millisecond by millisecond. The universe is literally giving the Earth more time. You can give yourself this same permission. The urgent rushing of the day is over. You can let your breathing match this slow, tectonic pace, trusting that there is an abundance of time stretching out before you, perfectly designed for deep, unhurried rest. This slow, sweeping expansion of time finds its ultimate beautiful expression on our neighbouring world, Venus. Hidden beneath a thick, unbroken blanket of pale yellow and pearlescent clouds, Venus rotates on its axis with a lethargy that defies human comprehension. It spins so incredibly slowly that a single day on Venus, one full rotation, actually lasts longer than its entire year. Furthermore, Venus is locked in a retrograde rotation, meaning it spins completely backward compared to almost every other planet in our solar system. If you could somehow stand on its warm, rocky surface beneath those heavy, insulating clouds, you would wait thousands of hours just to see the sun softly rise in the west and, months later, gently set in the east. It is a world where the rushing of the clock is physically impossible, locked in a perpetual slow-motion turn that completely unravels the concept of urgency. Let the heavy, slow-turning nature of this neighbouring world anchor your own physical body. Your limbs can feel as pleasantly heavy as the dense Venusian atmosphere, your heart rate settling into a long, drawn-out and deeply peaceful rhythm that honours the slow, majestic turning of the celestial spheres. Floating further out into the dark, past the warm rocky planets, we find a world where the weather itself moves in this same, deep, hypnotic slow motion. Orbiting the magnificent ringed giant Saturn is a massive moon named Titan. It is the only moon in our entire solar system with a thick, substantial atmosphere, casting the world in an eternal, hazy, golden twilight. On Titan, the temperature is profoundly cold, so cold that water is as hard as granite, and it rains liquid methane from the amber skies. But because Titan has a very thick atmosphere combined with an incredibly weak gravitational pull, a rainstorm here is a serene, dreamlike event. The raindrops on Titan grow to be twice as large as the rain on Earth, yet they fall at merely a fraction of the speed. They drift downward through the dense golden air like heavy liquid snowflakes, taking their time to gently meet the dark, mirroring lakes of hydrocarbons that pool on the surface. Imagine standing under that golden sky, watching massive, perfectly round droplets of rain descending in pure slow motion, a silent, low-gravity downpour that washes away the frantic energy of the waking world, leaving only a cool, fluid, and mesmerizing calm. As you imagine those heavy, liquid snowflakes drifting slowly down, let your own breath easily match their long, unhurried descent. The chest softly rising, the chest heavily falling, requiring absolutely no effort. Deep within the cosmos, the universe provides its own resonant soundtrack for this slow, sinking rhythm. Over 250 million light-years away, in the heart of the Perseus galaxy cluster, a supermassive black hole is quietly singing in the dark. The immense gravitational forces at work there send powerful pressure waves rippling out through the ultra-hot glowing gas that fills the cluster. These ripples are literal sound waves vibrating through the cosmic ocean. Astrophysicists have calculated the exact pitch of this sound, discovering that the black hole is humming a continuous B-flat, precisely 57 octaves below middle C. It is a note so incredibly deep that no human ear could ever hear it, a subsonic frequency that has been vibrating continuously for over 2 billion years. It is the deepest bass note ever detected in the universe. Imagine this profound, heavy vibration echoing softly through the foundations of space, a low, grounding hum that perfectly harmonizes with the deepest, slowest brainwaves of a mind, descending smoothly into the heaviest, most restorative stages of sleep. Carried gently along by that deep subsonic frequency, we drift toward a region of space that looks exactly like a magnificent, blooming masterpiece of celestial botany. Located about 5,000 light-years away from our quiet solar system is the Rosette Nebula, a vast, swirling cloud of interstellar dust and ionized hydrogen. Through the invisible, sculpting power of stellar winds radiating from a cluster of brilliant young stars at its core, this massive cloud has been shaped into the flawless, delicate geometry of a deep red rose. It stretches over 130 light-years across, its dark dust lanes forming the intricate layers of overlapping petals, glowing with a soft, warm crimson and magenta light against the absolute black of space. It is a stunning reminder that nature loves to repeat its most romantic, elegant patterns, whether in the tiny, fragile garden outside your window or on a scale of unimaginable galactic grandeur. You can hold this image softly in your mind's eye, a colossal, glowing rose suspended in the quiet dark, unfolding its petals with infinite patience. It requires nothing from you but to appreciate its silent, distant beauty, allowing its soft, blooming shape to replace any sharp or stressful geometric thoughts left over from the day. At the very centre of some of these beautiful blooming structures, when ancient stars finally exhaust their heat and quietly retire, they undergo a magnificent transformation into absolute, crystallized stillness. When a star roughly the size of our Sun reaches the end of its life, it sheds its outer layers and leaves behind a white dwarf, a dense, glowing core that slowly cools over billions of years. 50 light-years from Earth, in the constellation of Centaurus, there rests a white dwarf known officially as BPM 37093, but affectionately named Lucy by the astronomers who study her. Lucy has cooled so deeply that the intense pressure of her own gravity has crystallized her carbon core. She is, quite literally, a diamond the size of an entire planet. Weighing in at roughly 10 billion trillion carats, this spectacular spherical gemstone is hidden deep in the velvet dark of space. Because of her incredibly dense crystalline structure, Lucy gently pulsates, ringing like a massive, flawless gong in the silent vacuum. It is a monument to cooled, settled energy. The fiery, chaotic plasma of a burning star has found its ultimate rest in the cool, perfect and unyielding structure of a diamond. Your own active mind can undergo this same gentle cooling process tonight, solidifying the scattered thoughts of the day into a clear, quiet and perfectly still clarity. Your mind can simply drift away from the brilliant crystallized edges of that distant diamond, settling completely into a smooth, repeating and effortless rhythm. Just as Lucy gently pulsates, our own local star creates a beautiful rhythmic structure that sweeps continuously past our world. As the sun rotates, its massive magnetic field is dragged outward by the solar wind, twisting into a colossal, spiraling shape known as the Parker spiral. Because the sun's magnetic equator is slightly tilted, this spiraling field ripples up and down as it flows outward, creating the heliospheric current sheet. If you could step outside the solar system and see this invisible magnetic force, it would look exactly like a magnificent, incredibly wide ballerina skirt, undulating and rippling gracefully as it spins in the dark. Earth, along with all the other planets, is constantly dipping in and out of the gentle folds of this massive magnetic skirt. We're quite literally riding the slow, sweeping, invisible waves of the sun's magnetic energy. It is a cosmic lullaby, a slow, rocking motion built into the very physics of our solar system. You can surrender entirely to this invisible tide, feeling yourself being softly rocked in the grand magnetic cradle of the solar wind, completely safe and perfectly balanced. These gentle, outward-flowing waves eventually reach toward the absolute limits of what we can perceive, carrying our imagination to the very edge of the known universe. Because light travels at a finite speed, we can only see as far as light has had time to travel since the universe was born. This creates a magnificent spherical boundary around us known as the cosmic horizon. The observable universe stretches out for 46 billion light-years in every single direction, a vast glowing sphere of ancient galaxies, floating dust and deep time. But beyond that soft boundary of light, there is simply space that we cannot see. The light from those unimaginable distances is still travelling, still making its quiet journey toward our eyes, but it has not arrived yet. There is a profound, comforting peace in the existence of the cosmic horizon. It teaches us that there are natural limits to what we must process, observe, or understand. We do not need to look any further. We do not need to pierce the veil of the absolute unknown. We can rest peacefully right here, exactly where we are, comfortably nestled against the edge of the known light, warmly embraced by the great, quiet, and incredibly gentle mystery of the dark. Resting warmly embraced by the great, quiet, and incredibly gentle mystery of the dark, we can begin to see that even this darkness has its own magnificent hidden architecture. If we were to view our Milky Way galaxy not with our human eyes, but through a lens that captures the highest, most energetic frequencies of light, we would see a breathtaking structure towering over our galactic home. Rising above and descending below the flat, spinning disk of our galaxy are two colossal, softly glowing spheres known as the Fermi bubbles. These immense balloon-like structures stretch for 25,000 light-years in either direction, forming a magnificent, luminous hourglass that cradles the centre of the Milky Way. They are woven from incredibly faint gamma rays and X-rays, the lingering soft echoes of a massive surge of energy that quietly erupted from the supermassive black hole millions of years ago. Today, that ancient energy has expanded and cooled into a vast, translucent, violet-hued mist suspended in the intergalactic void. Imagine these two colossal, glowing spheres resting silently in the dark, acting as giant protective cushions above and below the spinning spiral arms. They are a monument to the way the universe absorbs and diffuses energy, taking the most intense, fiery events and slowly, patiently expanding them over eons until they become nothing more than a soft, harmless, and beautiful ambient glow. Descending from those colossal hourglass-shaped halos, we glide back down into the familiar turning disk of the galaxy, finding our own solar system resting perfectly within a remarkable cosmic clearing. We are currently floating through a vast empty cavity in the interstellar medium known as the local bubble. Roughly 300 light-years across, this completely hollowed-out pocket of space was swept beautifully clean by a series of ancient, distant supernovae over 10 million years ago. The gentle shockwaves from those fading stars acted like a soft cosmic broom, pushing the heavy, thick interstellar dust and gas outward, leaving behind a perfectly clear, warm, and highly rarefied atmosphere where our sun now peacefully drifts. The walls of this massive bubble are made of cold, dense, glittering gas where new stars are actively forming, but the inside, our immediate neighbourhood, is a tranquil, undisturbed meadow in the middle of a dense cosmic forest. Because we are sheltered within this quiet clearing, We have a perfectly unobstructed, breathtakingly clear view of the distant stars and galaxies ringing our night sky. The universe has carved out a peaceful, transparent window just for us, a quiet room in the galaxy where the dust has entirely settled. Within this perfectly clear, hollowed-out sanctuary, your own breathing can deepen and slow, matching the vast, uncluttered openness of the space around you. There is no heavy atmosphere pressing against your mind here. Moving closer to the centre of this clearing, toward the comforting warmth of our own sun, we cross a magnificent invisible boundary known to planetary scientists as the frost line, or the snow line. In the early formative days of our solar system, the sun radiated its golden heat outward into the swirling disk of dust. Close to the sun, the heat was too intense for water to exist as anything but a fleeting invisible vapour. But at a very specific distance, roughly hundreds of millions of miles away, the temperature of the vacuum dropped to a point of perfect crystalline stillness. At this exact threshold, the invisible water vapour instantly froze, transforming into trillions of delicate, glittering snowflakes and tiny shards of pure ice. This invisible line marks the exact transition where the warm, rocky inner solar system gives way to the deep, freezing and majestic realm of the gas and ice giants. Imagine crossing this quiet, invisible boundary, feeling the ambient temperature of your thoughts perfectly cool, watching as the invisible, chaotic vapour of your daily worries instantly crystallises into a beautiful, quiet, and gently falling snow in the dark. This delicate, ancient frost does not only float in the open void, it seeks out the quietest, most sheltered hollows to rest in unbroken peace. If we look closely at the heavily textured surface of our own pale moon, particularly near its northern and southern poles, we find massive ancient craters that possess a profound and stunning secret. Because the moon spins on an axis that is almost perfectly straight up and down, the sun never rises high in the sky at the lunar poles. It simply skirts along the horizon, casting incredibly long, sweeping shadows. Inside the deepest bowls of these polar craters, there are regions that have not seen a single ray of sunlight for billions of years. These are the permanently shadowed regions, and inside these pitch-black freezing sanctuaries lies pristine, ancient water ice. Untouched by the warmth of the sun or the erosion of the solar wind, this ice has rested in absolute, total darkness since the very dawn of the solar system. It is the ultimate preservation. You can imagine the profound, unyielding quiet of those deep lunar valleys, filled with glittering ancient frost hiding perfectly in the dark. Your mind, too, has these quiet, shadowed reserves, places of deep, undisturbed peace where you can retreat, completely insulated from the bright, demanding light of the waking world. Following the trail of this ancient ice outward, far past the sweeping rings of the gas giants, we arrive at the very edge of the solar system, where two celestial bodies are engaged in a remarkably intimate, eternal gaze. Pluto and its largest moon, Charon, orbit one another in the freezing twilight depths of the Kuiper Belt. But their relationship is unlike any other in our cosmic neighbourhood. They are locked in a perfectly synchronised mutual tidal embrace. Because they are so close in size, they do not merely orbit one another, they both slowly revolve around a completely empty, invisible point of gravity in the space between them, much like two ice skaters holding hands and spinning in a slow, graceful circle. Furthermore, they are locked so perfectly that they always show the exact same face to one another. If you were standing on the frosty nitrogen ice surface of Pluto, Charon would hang absolutely motionless in the sky, a giant pale sphere that never rises and never sets, a constant, unwavering companion in the deep night. It is a stunning display of cosmic loyalty and perfect balance. There is no chasing, no hiding, and no shifting of perspective, only a slow, heavy, and totally secure embrace that has lasted for billions of years. There is a profound comfort in this kind of unwavering stillness. Just as Pluto and Charon are securely locked in their graceful, effortless waltz, your own body is securely held exactly where it needs to be. The gentle, consistent pull of the Earth's gravity anchors you to the mattress, allowing the muscles in your back and legs to completely power down, trusting that you are perfectly supported. Drifting far beyond this quiet partnership, out into the wider galaxy, we discover that the universe has a magnificent flair for the dramatic and the beautiful, crafting weather systems that defy human imagination. Over 1,000 light-years away, there is an incredibly hot, massive gas giant named HATP 7b. This world is entirely covered in thick, swirling clouds, but because of its extreme chemistry and intense heat, these clouds are not made of water. They're composed of a mineral called corundum. On Earth, when corundum crystallizes, it forms the precious gemstones we know as rubies and sapphires. This means that the high-altitude winds of this distant world are continuously sweeping deep red and brilliant blue, liquid gem-like clouds across the sky. Imagine a sunset filtering through a massive rolling atmosphere of ruby and sapphire mist, casting the entire planet in a heavy, shimmering, jewel-toned twilight. It is a world draped in absolute luxury, a heavy, glittering atmosphere that dazzles the mind before slowly fading back into the elegant dark. The universe does not only craft precious gems in the atmospheres of distant worlds, it also carefully constructs the very delicate, intricate chemistry of life, packaging it safely in small, quiet stones that wander through the dark. In 1969, a large meteorite fell gracefully through the Earth's atmosphere, landing softly near the town of Murchison in Australia. When scientists carefully opened this ancient carbon-rich stone, they did not find a dead, sterile rock. Instead, they discovered a hidden treasure of cosmic chemistry, over 70 different kinds of amino acids, the essential, fundamental building blocks of DNA and life itself. This meteorite was older than our own sun, meaning that long before the Earth even existed, the universe was already quietly brewing the exact molecular ingredients required for life in the deep, freezing vacuum of space. These delicate, microscopic structures survived a journey of billions of miles and billions of years, perfectly preserved inside a wandering stone, waiting for the right moment to gently deliver their contents to a warm, welcoming world. It is a beautiful, deeply comforting realization that the seeds of life are not a rare, isolated accident, but a natural, abundant feature of the cosmos, drifting softly through the night sky like dandelion seeds on a gentle, invisible wind. When these ancient, life-bearing stones gently fall to the surfaces of rocky worlds, they sometimes land on landscapes of breathtaking, quiet immensity. On our neighbouring, rust-coloured planet of Mars, there sits a dormant volcano named Olympus Mons, the largest single mountain in the entire solar system. It is nearly 14 miles high, rising 2.5 times taller than Mount Everest, with its peak actually piercing the thin Martian atmosphere and touching the very edge of space. But what is most relaxing about this colossal structure is its shape. Olympus Mons is a shield volcano with a slope so incredibly gradual, rising at an angle of barely 5 degrees, that if you were to stand on its flanks, you would not even realise you were standing on a mountain. The curvature of the planet would completely hide the summit, making the climb feel like an endless, gently sloping and deeply peaceful plain. There are no jagged, terrifying cliffs, no harsh, unscalable walls, only a slow, massive and entirely effortless rise into the heavens. It is a mountain that gently guides you upward without ever asking for your breath or your struggle. You can visualize walking this quiet, red, dusty slope, feeling the atmosphere grow thinner and cooler, a beautifully slow ascension that asks absolutely nothing of you. You do not need to climb any more mountains today. You can simply rest at the peak, entirely unburdened, looking out over a vast, quiet horizon where the sky fades from dusty amber into the absolute starry black. As you look out into that deep, stretching darkness, we can witness the grandest, most majestic slow-motion choreography the universe has to offer. When two massive galaxies drift too close to one another, they do not crash or shatter in a violent explosion. Because galaxies are mostly empty space, they pass through each other like beautiful, ghostly phantoms in an event known as a galactic merger. 65 million light-years away, the antennae galaxies are currently in the midst of this profound cosmic embrace. As their immense gravitational fields intertwine, they slowly draw out two massive, sweeping, curving tails of stars that look exactly like the delicate, glowing antennae of a moth. Far from being a destructive force, this gentle compression of interstellar dust triggers a magnificent, sweeping wave of starbirth. Millions of brilliant new blue stars ignite in the dark, illuminating the swirling clouds of pink and violet gas. It is an interaction that creates light, a slow, billion-year merging that transforms two solitary structures into a single, radiant masterpiece, proving that even the most massive collisions in nature are simply beautiful, creative acts of gentle transformation. All of this magnificent creation, the sweeping galaxies, the jewel-toned clouds, and the ancient, quiet stars will eventually find its way to an absolute, profound, and peaceful rest. Trillions upon trillions of years in the deep future, long after the bright, massive stars have burned out and the red dwarfs have finally exhausted their slow, burning fuel, the universe will enter its most quiet and stable era. The leftover cores of the smallest stars will continue to cool, slowly radiating their final gentle warmth into the void, until they completely lose all their heat. They will become what astrophysicists call black dwarfs. These theoretical objects do not currently exist because the universe is simply not old enough yet to have produced one. But one day, they will dot the cosmos, perfectly cold, absolutely silent, dark spheres of crystallized carbon and oxygen. They will emit no light and no heat, resting permanently in a state of absolute unbreakable peace. It is not an ending to be feared. It is the ultimate cozy conclusion to a long, brilliant cosmic day. The universe will finally close its eyes, settling into a beautiful, unending sleep where nothing ever needs to burn, shift, or shine again. You can match this deep, patient cooling right now, letting your own brilliant energy slowly dim, settling deeper and heavier into the mattress, joining the cosmos in a profound, flawless, and deeply restorative silence. As we join the cosmos in that profound, flawless, and deeply restorative silence, it is beautiful to realize that even the light softly illuminating our waking world has mastered the art of extreme, unhurried patience. When we feel the gentle warmth of the morning sun against our skin, we are not feeling a sudden, immediate burst of energy. We are feeling the culmination of an incredibly long, ancient journey. Deep within the crushing, immensely dense core of our sun, a single photon of light is created through the quiet fusion of atoms. But it cannot simply fly out into space. It must navigate through hundreds of thousands of miles of densely packed plasma, bouncing randomly off protons and helium nuclei in a phenomenon physicists call the random walk. Because the core is so unbelievably thick, it can take a single photon over 100,000 years just to gently weave its way from the center of the star to the solar surface. Only then is it finally released into the frictionless vacuum, gliding effortlessly for 8 quiet minutes across the dark to meet your eye. That light is ancient, patient, and enduring. It did not rush to reach you. It took exactly the time it needed, moving through the heavy, blinding pressure until it could finally break free. You can adopt this exact same patience for yourself, knowing that clarity and release often require a long, slow journey through the heavy layers of the mind, and there is absolutely no need to rush the process. That patient, travelling light eventually washes over distant worlds of unimaginable serenity, including planets where the very concept of solid, unyielding ground simply does not exist. Far beyond our own solar system, orbiting a small, quiet red dwarf star, is an exoplanet known as Gliese 1214b. Astronomers believe this world may be a super-Earth entirely enveloped by a deep planetary ocean, covered in a thick, hazy, steamy atmosphere. There are no continents here, no jagged rocky shores, and no shifting tectonic plates to break the surface. There is only a smooth, endless, and unbelievably deep ocean stretching across the entire sphere of the planet. Underneath its thick, insulating clouds, the atmospheric pressure is immense, keeping the vast global ocean in a heavy liquid state. Imagine the profound, sweeping uniformity of a world made completely of water, a shoreless sea rolling in total silence beneath a pale, starlit haze. The mind naturally seeks out smooth, unbroken landscapes to rest upon, places where the eye does not need to focus on sharp edges or harsh boundaries. You can let your own awareness simply drift across this vast, endless cosmic ocean, feeling the buoyancy of the deep water, completely untethered from the heavy, rigid structures of the waking world, floating endlessly on a tide that has no beginning and no end. Leaving that shoreless, silent sea, we let our awareness drift back toward the familiar massive giants of our own cosmic neighbourhood, where brilliant light shows unfold in total, unbroken silence. High above the swirling, striped clouds of Jupiter, hovering over its northern and southern poles, are permanent glowing auroras that stagger the imagination. On Earth, our auroras are delicate, transient ribbons of green and pink, dancing briefly when the solar wind sweeps past. But on Jupiter, the auroras are a constant, brilliant, and completely permanent fixture, glowing intensely in ultraviolet light. These massive halos of luminous energy are so unbelievably large that you could easily fit the entire Earth inside just one of them. They are generated not merely by the Sun, but by Jupiter's own colossal spinning magnetic field, which acts like a cosmic generator, sweeping up the volcanic dust continuously erupting from its nearby moon, Io. It is a majestic, silent storm of light, a crown of glowing, violet-hued electricity sitting peacefully atop the largest planet we know. Yet, for all their immense power and scale, these planetary auroras produce absolutely no sound in the vacuum of space. They simply shimmer in the deep dark. As you picture those massive glowing rings of violet light spinning silently in the cold, your own breath naturally settles. Your body grows heavier against the mattress, perfectly safe, completely sheltered, and deeply relaxed. Just beyond the massive magnetic reach of Jupiter, orbiting within the sweeping, majestic rings of Saturn, a much smaller, quieter world is constantly offering a delicate, crystalline gift to the surrounding void. This is Enceladus, a tiny, brilliant white moon covered entirely in a smooth, highly reflective shell of pure ice. Beneath this frozen crust lies a warm, global, liquid saltwater ocean. Near the moon's southern pole, deep fissures known as tiger stripes gently pull apart, allowing this pressurized ocean water to softly spray out into the freezing vacuum of space. As soon as these towering plumes of vapor hit the absolute cold, they instantly freeze, creating a magnificent, continuous spray of microscopic, glittering diamond dust. Because Enceladus's gravity is so incredibly weak, most of this gentle snowfall does not fall back to the surface. Instead, it drifts gracefully away, forming Saturn's sweeping, diffuse E-ring. This tiny moon is literally painting the space around it with a slow, never-ending fountain of microscopic ice. Imagine the pure, quiet elegance of a world slowly giving itself away, transforming its hidden, internal warmth into a vast, shimmering ring of frost. You can let your own body feel as completely weightless and peacefully suspended as that floating ice, drifting outward without any effort, completely unbothered by gravity, just sparkling softly in the quiet dark. Floating outward past these delicate icy rings into the deep interstellar chill of the wider galaxy, we find objects that beautifully blur the line between a blazing sun and a frozen world. Just 7 light-years away from Earth, drifting completely alone in the interstellar void, is a brown dwarf formerly catalogued as WISE 0855. It is considered a failed star because it never gathered enough mass to ignite, but what makes it so incredibly relaxing to contemplate is its profound, unyielding cold. The temperature of this lonely wandering star is permanently below the freezing point of water, making it as cold as a bitter winter night on Earth. Because it is so unimaginably cold, astronomers have detected thick, heavy clouds of water ice swirling in its dark atmosphere. It is a star wrapped in a blanket of frost. There is no brilliant, exhausting light here, no furious, burning fusion, only a deeply chilled, softly glowing magenta sphere peacefully wandering through the absolute dark. The universe does not require everything to burn brightly. Some things are perfectly designed to remain cool, dark and deeply rested. You can draw upon the profound chill of this frosty wandering star, feeling a cooling sensation gently wash over your forehead, slowing the frantic, heated energy of your thoughts and bringing your mind into a state of perfectly chilled, perfectly preserved stillness. This deep, freezing cold is not a place of stagnant emptiness, but a realm of incredibly slow, majestic activity, a truth perfectly captured on the distant twilight surface of Pluto. When spacecraft finally flew past this distant, beloved dwarf planet, they did not find a dead, cratered rock. Instead, they discovered a massive, bright, perfectly heart-shaped glacier covering a significant portion of the world. Known as Sputnik Planitia, this colossal heart is made almost entirely of frozen nitrogen. Because nitrogen ice is soft and flows easily even at extreme, sub-zero temperatures, the entire surface of this glacier is slowly, continuously churning. Heat from deep within Pluto slowly rises, pushing the ice up into massive polygonal mounds, which then slowly cool and sink back down at the edges. This process, known as convection, acts like a colossal, incredibly slow heartbeat, turning the entire surface of the glacier over once every 500,000 years. It is a gentle, rhythmic pulsing happening at the very edge of our solar system, completely hidden in the dark. It is a profound comfort to realize that even in the most remote, freezing and forgotten corners of the universe, there is still a quiet, enduring heartbeat. You can align your own pulse with this slow, turning ice, feeling your heart rate drop into a steady, long and perfectly rhythmic thrum. The slow, turning heart of that distant ice world reminds us that time, atmosphere and texture can completely transform the way we experience the gentle end of a day. On our neighbouring world of Mars, the sun sets just as it does on Earth, but the colours that paint the sky are reversed in a display of profound alien serenity. Because the Martian atmosphere is incredibly thin and filled with microscopic rust-coloured iron dust, the daytime sky is a muted, dusty butterscotch or pale pink. But as the sun slowly descends toward the horizon, this fine dust filters the light in a completely different way. It absorbs the red light and allows only the cool blue wavelengths to pass through. This means that a Martian sunset is a brilliant, glowing, serene sapphire blue. Imagine standing on a quiet, rust-coloured plain, watching a slightly smaller sun dip behind a distant crater, casting a long, cool blue twilight across the desert landscape. It is a completely different kind of evening, trading the fiery oranges and reds of Earth for a calming, frosty and deeply soothing azure glow. Nothing needs to be held too tightly. The chest softly rises and falls with the rhythm of a cooling world. You can picture that cool blue twilight washing over your own room, gently signalling to your mind that the fiery activity of the day has definitively ended, and the cool, restorative night has officially begun. While the thin Martian wind sweeps the fine dust into the atmosphere to paint the sunset, There are places incredibly close to our own home where the concept of weather simply does not exist. The moon rests just 240,000 miles away, a bright, familiar guardian in our night sky. Because the moon has absolutely no atmosphere, there is no wind to sweep across its surface, no rain to wash away the soil, and no weather to alter its quiet landscape. This means that the moon is a museum of absolute pristine preservation. The footprints left behind by the Apollo astronauts in the fine grey lunar regolith are still resting exactly as they were placed over 50 years ago. Unless they are struck by a tiny micrometeorite, those human footprints, along with the tracks of the lunar rovers, will remain there, completely untouched and perfectly sharp for tens of millions of years into the future. It is a landscape of ultimate unbroken stillness. There is a deep, profound peace in knowing that there are places where nothing changes, where moments are captured and held perfectly still in the vacuum of time. Your mind can find a similar state of absolute preservation, a quiet, completely undisturbed inner landscape where the turbulent winds of the day cannot reach you, leaving your thoughts as still and perfect as a footprint in the soft lunar dust. While the moon preserves its quiet history in perfect dusty stillness, the wider universe paints its own memories in massive, expanding, glowing clouds of illuminated gas. 700 light-years away, in the constellation of Aquarius, a dying star has gracefully puffed off its outer layers, creating one of the most beautiful and mesmerizing objects in the night sky, the Helix Nebula. From our vantage point on Earth, this expanding shell of gas looks exactly like a colossal, highly detailed human eye. The outer rim glows in soft, wispy shades of deep red and pink, while the inner core shines with a brilliant luminous teal and aqua blue, surrounding a tiny glowing white pupil at the very centre. Often called the Eye of God, this magnificent structure is not a sign of destruction, but a beautiful, slow and artistic release of energy. It is as if the universe has opened a massive, gentle eye to look back at us with infinite, ancient patience. It is a protective, sweeping gaze that spans trillions of miles. You can hold the image of this soft, glowing cosmic eye in your mind, feeling its serene, watchful presence. You do not need to keep watch over yourself tonight. You can close your own eyes completely, trusting that the universe, with its grand, silent and beautifully structured nebulae, is keeping a quiet, watchful vigil over your rest. That soft, glowing eye of the cosmos seems to look back at us with infinite patience, just as human eyes now gaze softly down upon the Earth from the quiet, weightless sanctuary of orbit. Aboard the International Space Station, floating peacefully roughly 250 miles above the surface of the Earth, astronauts experience the majestic turning of our world in a profoundly different rhythm. Because the station orbits the Earth at over 17,000 miles per hour, it completes a full lap around the planet every 90 minutes. This means that the men and women living in that quiet, humming laboratory experience a breathtaking sunrise or a stunning, colourful sunset every 45 minutes. They witness 16 sunrises and 16 sunsets in a single 24-hour day. From the quiet vantage point of their windows, they watch the thin, glowing blue line of the atmosphere ignite with gold, then fade into the deep, starry black, over and over in a gentle, hypnotic repeating cycle. It is a continuous, mesmerizing loop of dawn and dusk, a perfect, unbroken circle of beginnings and endings. Let the rhythmic, repetitive turning of that orbital dawn soothe your mind. With every breath you take in, a new soft light crests the horizon, and with every breath you let out, the world falls safely and peacefully back into the deep, comforting dark, a flawless cycle carrying you smoothly and inevitably into the deepest, most profound stages of sleep. That flawless cycle carrying us smoothly into sleep is an orbit in constant motion. Yet, within the complex, sweeping gravitational dance of the Earth and the Sun, there are invisible pockets of absolute, unbreakable stillness. These are the Lagrange points, In these 5 distinct mathematically perfect locations scattered across the void, the immense gravitational pull of our massive sun and the gentle tug of the Earth perfectly cancel each other out, creating a stable, frictionless harbour. If you place a delicate structure like a space telescope exactly in one of these points, it does not need to fight the pull of gravity to maintain its position. It simply hovers, anchored perfectly in the empty dark, swept along in perfect, effortless harmony with the Earth. The James Webb Space Telescope currently rests in one of these quiet pockets, 1,000,000 miles away, sitting in permanent frozen stillness, using the absolute quiet to peer back to the dawn of time. It is a cosmic parking space, a sanctuary of pure equilibrium where motion completely ceases. You can visualize your own mind settling into its personal Lagrange point right now. You're suspended perfectly between the waking world you have left behind and the deep, rich dreamscape ahead, requiring absolutely no energy to stay right here, beautifully balanced, held completely safe in the quiet center. This sense of gentle, balanced hovering tells us a profound and highly comforting story about how our entire solar system was born. We often imagine the formation of planets as a chaotic, violent era of massive asteroids crashing together in blinding explosions. But billions of miles away, deep in the frozen, twilight expanse of the Kuiper Belt, rests an ancient reddish object named Arakoth. It looks exactly like a smooth, perfectly proportioned snowman, 2 round, distinct spheres resting softly against one another. When the New Horizons spacecraft glided past this ancient relic, capturing its image in the faint light of a distant sun, it revealed that these 2 lobes did not smash together. Billions of years ago, they slowly drifted toward each other at a speed slower than a human walking pace, and simply touched, locking together in a permanent gentle kiss. It has remained perfectly undisturbed in this quiet embrace ever since. Arakoth is a perfectly preserved monument to the exquisite gentleness of the early solar system. It proves that worlds were not always forged in fire and destruction. Some were built through the softest, slowest, and most patient embraces imaginable, a quiet accumulation of mass in the deep cold. That same lightness, that feeling of a world resting softly without heavy impact, is magnified to a staggering scale when we look back toward the 2nd largest planet in our solar system. Saturn is a colossal giant, a magnificent sphere of swirling amber, cream, and gold gas wrapped in its iconic sweeping rings. It is so unbelievably massive that over 700 Earths could fit comfortably inside it. Yet, despite its overwhelming, breathtaking size, it is the least dense planet we know of. In fact, Saturn is the only planet in our cosmic neighbourhood that is actually less dense than liquid water. If you could somehow find a cosmic ocean vast enough to hold it, this colossal ringed titan would not sink heavily into the dark, crushing depths. It would simply bob and float on the very surface, as weightless and buoyant as a cork. There is a deep, profound comfort in knowing that something so massively imposing can also be so fundamentally light. You can allow your physical form to adopt this exact same buoyancy. The mattress beneath you is a vast, supportive ocean, and your body is effortlessly floating upon it, all the heavy, dense stress of the day completely dissolved, leaving you wonderfully light. Floating further out into the deep, quiet chill of the outer solar system, we encounter a planet that has found its own completely unique, incredibly relaxed posture. Uranus, the pale, icy blue giant, does not spin upright like the Earth or the other planets. Long ago it was gently tipped over, and now it orbits the Sun entirely on its side, rolling along its orbital path like a soft aquamarine marble. It is surrounded by faint vertical rings that encircle it from top to bottom, completely defying our normal expectations of a planetary system. Because of this extreme 98-degree tilt, the seasons on Uranus are stretched into vast, sweeping eras of time. The north pole of the planet spends 42 Earth years bathed in continuous, pale, hazy sunlight, while the southern half of the world rests in a 42-year-long, unbroken, and completely silent winter night. It is a world that has surrendered entirely to the longest, slowest rhythm in the solar system, taking nearly half a century just to change its season. Let the image of that pale, tipped-over world grant you absolute permission to completely recline. You do not need to stand upright or hold any physical tension. You can simply lay on your side, completely at rest, enveloped in your own long, deeply comforting season of the night. Far beyond our pale blue neighbour, in the orbits of distant, faintly glowing red dwarf stars, exist entire planets completely dedicated to the exact, magical transition of twilight. These are tidally locked worlds, meaning their rotation perfectly matches their orbit, causing them to always show the exact same face to their host star. One hemisphere is locked in eternal blazing day, while the other is frozen in a permanent icy star-studded night. But perfectly balanced between these two extremes lies a global, unbroken ribbon of territory known as the Terminator Line. This is a vast, sweeping region of eternal sunset and perpetual dawn. If you stood anywhere along this global perimeter, the sun would permanently rest exactly on the horizon, casting the longest, softest shadows across the landscape, bathing the entire world in a continuous, unchanging glow of deep lavender, peach, and liquid gold. The temperature here is perfectly mild, suspended flawlessly between fire and ice, while a permanent gentle breeze flows continuously from the dark side to the light. It is a planetary sanctuary of dusk. Imagine stepping into this eternal golden hour, feeling the temperature of the air settle into a perfect, comfortable warmth that never fades, wrapped forever in the most serene and beautiful light of a day that refuses to end. While those distant twilight worlds rest peacefully in their eternal sunset, the grand galaxy around them operates with a breathtaking, majestic lack of urgency. When we look up at the Milky Way, we see a sprawling, glowing metropolis of hundreds of billions of stars, and it is easy to assume that the galaxy is a frantic, wildly active factory, constantly churning out new suns. But the truth is profoundly patient. Compared to younger, chaotic, starburst galaxies that furiously create hundreds of stars a year, our Milky Way is a mature, entirely settled structure. Across its entire, unimaginable span of 100,000 light-years, the Milky Way only gives birth to roughly 3 or 4 new stars every single year. It is a phenomenally slow, deliberate, and entirely unhurried process. The galaxy slowly gathers its vast, billowing clouds of cold dust, lets gravity pull them gently together over millions of years, and only ignites a new light when the time, the pressure, and the conditions are absolutely perfect. The cosmos is never in a rush. There is no quota to meet, no frantic deadline to satisfy in the deep dark. You can let this deep galactic patience seep into your bones. Your mind does not need to produce anything right now. It can simply rest in the dark, gathering its energy slowly, perfectly content to wait for a new dawn. As our quiet, patient sun moves smoothly through this unhurried galaxy, it leaves behind a magnificent, invisible brushstroke across the void. We often think of our solar system as a perfectly round, contained bubble, but as the sun travels at hundreds of thousands of miles per hour through the interstellar medium, it physically drags its massive magnetic field behind it, stretching it into a colossal, flowing shape known as the heliotail. Much like the glowing tail of an ancient comet, or the long, graceful, fading wake of a ship sailing silently through a dark ocean, this magnetic tail streams backward for tens of billions of miles. It is shaped like a magnificent four-leaf clover, twisting and undulating softly in the cosmic wind, carrying the exhausted, cooled particles of the solar wind gently out into the galaxy. Our entire planetary neighbourhood, the Earth, the Moon, the distant icy giants, is safely tucked inside the warm leading edge of this structure, while a vast, protective and completely invisible cloak trails endlessly behind us in the dark. You're moving through the night shielded by this grand, sweeping architecture, leaving a soft, invisible trail of the day far behind you, effortlessly letting go of whatever you no longer need to carry forward into tomorrow. Drifting gently along those sweeping, invisible magnetic currents into the deeper, cooler spiral arms of the Milky Way, we encounter vast, floating clouds where the universe demonstrates its remarkable, complex chemistry. About 6,500 light-years away from us, there is a massive, glowing molecular cloud known as W3OH. This is not just a diffuse cloud of simple hydrogen gas. It is an immense, interstellar reservoir of simple alcohols, primarily methanol, stretching out across billions of miles of space. If you were to somehow capture the essence of this distant floating nebula, it would carry the faint, sweet and distinctly earthy aroma of an ancient cosmic distillery. The universe is quietly brewing these complex organic molecules in the absolute freezing dark, patiently combining carbon, oxygen and hydrogen atoms into the soft building blocks of chemistry. It is a whimsical, rich realization that space is not just a cold, sterile vacuum, but a highly textured, aromatic environment filled with vast, invisible mists of sweet, organic vapor hanging suspended among the stars. Let the thought of this soft, sweet-scented cosmic fog roll gently through your mind, a heavy, fragrant mist that completely obscures the sharp, stressful edges of your waking thoughts, leaving only a soft, hazy comfort behind. Through that soft, hazy, starlit mist, we look back toward the distant, deep blue sphere of Neptune, the furthest official planet in our solar system, to find a beautiful lesson in delicate, enduring balance. Like Saturn, Neptune has rings, but they are not solid, perfectly uniform disks of bright ice. Neptune is surrounded by incredibly faint, delicate structures known as ring arcs. These are clumpy, discontinuous clusters of fine, reddish dust that somehow, against all the established laws of orbital dynamics, refuse to spread out evenly over time. They are gathered into 5 distinct sweeping segments, beautifully named courage, liberty, equality, fraternity, and discovery. These delicate ribbons of dust are kept from falling apart by the gentle, invisible gravitational coaxing of a tiny shepherd moon named Galatea, which travels just inside the rings, carefully guiding the dust and keeping it perfectly bunched together as they slowly orbit the dark blue world. It is a silent, cosmic herding, an invisible hand gently sweeping the ancient dust into beautiful, enduring arcs. You do not need to keep everything perfectly together yourself. The invisible, natural rhythms of sleep are acting as your own gentle shepherd right now, softly gathering up all your scattered energy and guiding it smoothly and safely into a state of profound, restorative harmony. When that profound internal harmony is achieved, the mind becomes incredibly still and its surface smooths out entirely, much like the most flawless, perfect spheres ever forged by the universe. When an ancient star collapses into a dense neutron star, its immense gravity pulls its matter so tightly together that it creates a solid crust of crystalline iron. Because the gravitational pull is billions of times stronger than anything on Earth, the surface of a neutron star is flattened to an astonishing, almost unimaginable degree of perfection. It is completely devoid of sweeping valleys, deep canyons, or towering mountains. In fact, the absolute tallest mountain on a neutron star would be a tiny microscopic bump no higher than a single millimeter. They are the most perfectly smooth, unbroken solid objects in the entire known universe, frictionless spheres spinning silently in the deep, heavy dark. Imagine the texture of that flawless, absolute smoothness. Let your own mind completely mimic this perfect, unbroken surface. The jagged mountains of tomorrow's worries, the deep canyons of yesterday's stress, They're all completely flattened by the heavy, comforting gravity of your rest. There is nothing left but a smooth, frictionless expanse of peace, a quiet, polished sphere of awareness that offers absolutely no resistance, allowing you to glide effortlessly and deeply into the pure, undisturbed silence of the night. As we glide through that pure, undisturbed silence, moving completely unhindered by frictional gravity, we encounter structures in the deep that perfectly mirror this flawless, spherical serenity. Roughly 7,000 light-years away from our own resting place, floating quietly in the constellation of Hercules, is Belle 39. It is a planetary nebula, the fading breath of a dying star. But unlike the chaotic, swirling clouds we often see, this structure has expanded into a sphere of absolutely perfect, astonishing symmetry. It is a massive, translucent, ghostly bubble of pale blue light, stretching over 5 light-years across the dark. Because the original star was perfectly spherical, and the surrounding space was entirely still and empty, the gas expanded evenly in every single direction. It looks like a delicate frosted soap bubble suspended permanently in the void. There are no turbulent winds to distort its shape, no violent currents to tear at its edges. It simply rests there, an immaculate glowing orb of pale sapphire. Your own mind can take on the shape of this flawless, expanding sphere. You can feel your awareness growing perfectly round, perfectly balanced, expanding softly outward into the dark without encountering a single edge, a single corner, or the slightest bit of resistance. This soft, expanding awareness eventually brushes against one of the most hypnotic and mesmerizing optical illusions the universe has ever produced. In the constellation of Monotaros, the unicorn, a red supergiant star named V838 Monotorotis once experienced a sudden, brilliant flash of energy. But the true beauty of this event was not the flash itself. It was what happened in the centuries that followed. The star was completely surrounded by massive concentric shells of ancient invisible dust. As the burst of light from the star travelled outward, it hit these hidden layers of dust one by one, illuminating them in sequence. From our distant perspective on Earth, it looks as though the star is softly, continuously exhaling colossal glowing rings of deep amber and crimson. Astronomers call this a light echo. The original event has long since passed, but its light continues to slowly ripple through the dark, bouncing off the dust to create a sweeping, expanding mandala of colour. It is a majestic, slow-motion reflection of a moment that has already ended. It reminds us that the bright, intense flashes of our own days are temporary, but they leave behind soft, rippling echoes that gradually fade into a beautiful, quiet memory. As those echoes of light continue their slow journey, they eventually wash over the ancient, luminous outskirts of our galaxy, where the oldest cities of stars quietly reside. Orbiting the main disk of the Milky Way, like a halo of glowing fireflies, are the globular clusters. The grandest of these is Omega Centauri. It is a densely packed spherical metropolis containing over 10 million ancient stars, bound so tightly together by gravity that they form a brilliant glowing core of soft golden and pale white light. Yet, despite holding millions of suns, this cluster is a place of profound, enduring peace. The stars within Omega Centauri are incredibly old, forming over 12 billion years ago, long before the spiral arms of our galaxy even took shape. They are the elders of the cosmos, moving in a slow, buzzing swarm, completely isolated from the turbulent starbursts and chaotic collisions of the inner galaxy. Imagine looking at a dandelion gone to seed, a perfect, fragile globe of white resting on a gentle breeze. That is Omega Centauri. It is a sanctuary of antiquity, a quiet, glowing retirement for the universe's first lights. You can allow your thoughts to cluster softly together just like these ancient stars, finding a warm, buzzing comfort in their close, protective gravity. Held safely in that protective gravity, You do not need to look outward or strain to see what lies ahead. The body grows noticeably heavier, the jaw softens, and the mind can simply rest in the comforting knowledge that the universe is overwhelmingly vast, yet asking absolutely nothing of you. To truly understand this gentle vastness, we can consider the most profound photograph ever taken by humanity. Astronomers once pointed the Hubble Space Telescope at a tiny, completely empty patch of the night sky. The area they chose was no larger than a grain of sand held at arm's length against the absolute black. It seemed completely devoid of stars. For days, the telescope simply stared into the dark, patiently gathering the faintest photons of light. When the image was finally developed, it revealed a staggering truth. That tiny dark grain of sand was not empty. It contained over 10,000 distinct ancient galaxies, each holding hundreds of billions of stars of their own. It is a realization that completely dissolves human anxiety. Behind every dark, seemingly empty patch of your own life, there is an entire universe of brilliant, unseen depth quietly waiting. You do not need to see it all. You only need to know it is there, an infinite layered tapestry of light stretching forever into the distance, completely unbothered by time. Deep within that vast tapestry, the laws of physics occasionally fold into wondrous, paradoxical shapes that gently tease our rigid expectations of how the world must work. Just 33 light-years away, a Neptune-sized exoplanet named Gliese, 436 B orbits incredibly close to its host star. Because it is so close, the temperature on the surface is a blistering 800 degrees Fahrenheit. By all terrestrial logic, any water on this world should instantly vaporize into steam. However, the planet possesses such immense, crushing gravity that the water vapor in its atmosphere is compressed down into the core until it completely solidifies. It forms a bizarre, dense state of matter, known to physicists as Ice X. It is, quite literally, burning ice. It is a solid, frozen ocean locked in a state of blistering heat, a beautiful contradiction suspended in the dark. The universe easily holds these opposites together, hot and cold, liquid and solid, waking and sleeping. You do not need to resolve every contradiction in your life before you can find rest. Just as the cosmos comfortably holds a planet of burning ice, you can softly embrace all the paradoxes of your day, letting them coexist peacefully without needing to solve them. Floating away from that paradoxical world, we drift back into the sprawling, dusty lanes of our own Milky Way, where the atmosphere takes on the soft, hazy texture of a dying campfire. We often think of space as a completely sterile clinical vacuum, but vast regions of our galaxy are actually filled with incredibly complex soot-like molecules called polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. These molecules form in the cooling atmospheres of dying red giant stars and are gently blown out into the interstellar medium. They are the cosmic equivalent of the fine, dark soot that rises from a quiet, crackling hearth. When the faint ultraviolet light from distant stars hits this floating soot, the molecules absorb the energy and softly re-emit it as a warm infrared glow. It means that the space between the stars is not just cold, empty darkness. It is a warm, glowing, highly textured fog of organic ash. Imagine floating through this gentle cosmic smoke, the remnants of billions of ancient celestial fires. It is a deeply grounding, earthy presence in the high heavens. The sharp, frantic energy of the day has burned down to a soft, glowing ember, leaving only a gentle, hazy warmth that slowly blankets your mind. That hazy, comforting warmth contrasts beautifully with the profound, delicate chill found on the very outskirts of our own solar system. Orbiting the deep blue giant Neptune is a magnificent solitary moon named Triton. Triton is a captured world, born in the distant Kuiper belt and slowly pulled into Neptune's orbit eons ago. Because of its extreme distance from the Sun, the surface of Triton is locked in a deep, cryogenic freeze, covered in a smooth crust of frozen nitrogen, water, and carbon dioxide. But Triton is not entirely still. The faint, distant heat of the Sun, combined with the gentle gravitational kneading from Neptune, causes the subterranean nitrogen to slowly warm and expand. Eventually it breaks through the icy crust in magnificent silent geysers. These eruptions shoot plumes of dark dust and invisible nitrogen gas 5 miles high into the thin, freezing atmosphere. As the gas expands, it instantly cools and falls back to the surface as a delicate sweeping drift of pink and pale peach-coloured snow. Imagine standing on that quiet, frozen landscape, bathed in the faint sapphire light of Neptune, watching a slow, graceful shower of pink frost gently coating the icy plains. It is a silent, pastel-coloured precipitation, a soft, freezing lullaby at the edge of the known world. As that pink snow slowly settles, covering the world in a soft, soundless blanket, we can tune our awareness to the deepest, most ambient background hum of the cosmos. In 2006, scientists launched an instrument high into the Earth's atmosphere to listen to the faint, ancient heat of the universe. What they expected to hear was a very quiet, predictable static. Instead, their instruments detected a deep, continuous, and surprisingly loud radio signal coming from everywhere in the sky all at once. It was 6 times louder than all the combined radio emissions of all the galaxies they could see. Astronomers playfully named it the space roar. Yet this sound is not a violent or aggressive noise. To the ear, if it could be heard, it would sound like the ultimate sweeping white noise, a deep, continuous rushing exhalation, like a massive waterfall pouring eternally into an unseen ocean, or the heavy, comforting static of a quiet rainstorm heard from safely indoors. We still do not know exactly what is producing this immense, ambient blanket of sound. It is a glorious, unresolved mystery, a cosmic white noise machine that wraps the entire universe in a continuous, heavy, and deeply soothing vibration. Let your breathing align with this deep, universal hum, letting it drown out any remaining whispers of the day. Woven seamlessly into that ambient, rushing static are fleeting shapes of light that look entirely unnatural in their perfect, straight-edged geometry. About 3,000 light-years from Earth lies the Egg Nebula. It is a star in the very brief, fleeting transition phase before it fully becomes a planetary nebula. Hidden deep within a thick, opaque cocoon of dark dust, the central dying star can no longer shine its light freely in all directions. Instead, the starlight escapes through perfectly straight, narrow gaps in the dust cloud. The result is breathtaking. 4 immense, distinct beams of soft, glowing light shooting out into the blackness like colossal, sweeping searchlights cutting through a heavy fog. Furthermore, surrounding the star are dozens of perfectly spaced concentric rings of dust, looking like the ripples on a pond completely frozen in time. It is a silent, luminous lighthouse in the deep dark, rotating slowly, casting its soft beams over billions of miles of empty space. There is no one there to see it, no ships to guide. It simply shines for the sake of its own quiet existence. Let those soft, sweeping beams of light pass gently over your closed eyelids, a slow, rhythmic sweeping of light and shadow, coaxing you deeper into trance. Following those fading, sweeping beams out into the wider dark, we arrive at the most profoundly comforting truth about our physical connection to this grand architecture. Every single heavy element in the universe, the iron, the calcium, the gold, the carbon, was forged in the heart of a star. But for those elements to become planets, to become oceans, and to eventually become you, those stars had to gently, gracefully give themselves away. The galaxy operates on an endless, beautiful system of cosmic recycling. When ancient stars puff off their outer layers or merge in the dark, they seed the interstellar medium with their enriched dust. That dust drifts for millions of years before being swept up into new clouds, where it is slowly pulled together to form the next generation of light. The very atoms that make up your body have taken this slow, majestic journey countless times. You've been part of a nebula. You have drifted in the silent cold of a Bok globule. You have spun in the glowing accretion disk of a newborn sun. You're not a stranger in this universe looking up at the sky. You're the sky itself, having simply taken on a quiet, resting form for a little while. As this realization settles over you, let the boundary between your resting body and the quiet room completely dissolve, returning your heavy, sleepy awareness back into the vast, gentle, and eternal flow of the cosmic ocean. As you settle into that eternal flow, drifting effortlessly along the glowing band of our home galaxy, your mind's eye might trace a magnificent dark river winding through the starlight. Stretching down the very spine of the Milky Way is a continuous, sprawling ribbon of shadow known as the Great Rift. This is not an empty canyon where stars are missing. Rather, it is an immense, heavy gathering of non-luminous dust and molecular gas, sitting perfectly between us and the brilliant, crowded centre of the galaxy. It acts as a colossal cosmic filter, gently absorbing the blinding light of millions of background suns and turning it into a soft, textured silhouette. Looking at the Great Rift is like looking at a quiet, shadowed forest path cutting through a brightly lit meadow. It is a space of pure visual rest. In a universe so filled with brilliant, demanding energy, the Great Rift offers a massive, sweeping avenue of darkness, a place where the eye can completely relax. You can allow your own thoughts to follow this dark, winding river, steering away from the bright, active centres of your waking life and drifting safely into the cool, silent, and deeply comforting shade. This dark, shadowy river is not stagnant. It is part of a magnificent, slow-motion cycle of atmospheric breathing on a galactic scale. High above the bright spinning disk of the Milky Way, astronomers have detected towering plumes of superheated gas rising into the cosmic dark. When clusters of massive stars reach the end of their lives, their collective energy gently pushes the surrounding gas upward, lifting it thousands of light years out of the galactic plane. But the galaxy does not lose this material. Once it reaches the freezing, quiet heights of the galactic halo, the gas slowly cools, condenses, and begins to fall gracefully back down onto the spiral arms. This beautiful, circulating process is known as a galactic fountain. Imagine a colossal, silent geyser of glowing vapor rising effortlessly in the dark, cooling into a heavy mist, and then raining back down as a soft, invisible drizzle of stardust. It is the Milky Way slowly recycling its own atmosphere, drawing a deep, expansive breath out into the void, and then patiently, peacefully exhaling it back down onto the spinning disk. It is a slow, enduring rhythm of renewal, a cycle that never exhausts itself. Woven into the mist of that falling starlight, we find close, protective gatherings of celestial companions that journey through the dark together. Just 400 light-years from Earth, nestled in the constellation of Taurus, shines the Pleiades, a breathtaking open star cluster often affectionately called the Seven Sisters. Unlike the solitary, wandering stars that drift alone through the void, the stars of the Pleiades were all born from the exact same massive cloud of dust, and they remain gently bound to one another by the soft, invisible tether of gravity. They are a brilliant family of hot, luminous blue suns, moving as a single, coordinated flock through the interstellar medium. As they travel, they are currently passing through a completely unrelated cloud of ancient dust, illuminating it from within to create a delicate, wispy blue reflection nebula that clings to them like a sheer, glowing veil. There is a profound, comforting beauty in this shared journey. They do not travel the immense dark ocean of space alone. They move in perfect unison, lighting the way for one another. You do not need to navigate the night alone either. The body grows completely heavy, the breath settles into a deep, steady rhythm, and the mind can simply rest in the comforting knowledge that you're surrounded and supported by the quiet, stabilizing gravity of this shared, peaceful moment. As we watch that glowing flock of blue stars move smoothly across the sky, we're reminded that the Earth itself is engaged in a remarkably slow, deeply patient movement that changes our entire perspective of the heavens. We know that the Earth spins on its axis every day, but that axis is not perfectly rigidly fixed. It possesses a slow, majestic wobble, much like a spinning top that has gracefully begun to lose its momentum. This magnificent, sweeping motion is called the precession of the equinoxes. It is so incredibly slow that it takes 26,000 years for the Earth's axis to complete just one single, circular wobble. Because of this unimaginably patient rotation, the star we currently call our North Star Polaris will not hold that title forever. Thousands of years from now, the Earth will gently tilt its gaze toward a different part of the sky, and the brilliant star Vega will softly take its place as our celestial guide. The universe measures time in these sweeping multi-millennial arcs. The hurried pace of human hours and minutes dissolves completely against this 26,000-year clock. You can let the immense, slow turning of the Earth grant you absolute permission to completely let go of time, allowing your awareness to stretch out into the deep, unhurried, and boundless quiet of the night. This slow, unhurried turning often hides profound, liquid warmth beneath the coldest, most rigid surfaces in the solar system. Orbiting the massive, swirling gas giant Jupiter is a pale, icy moon named Europa. From the outside, Europa looks like a completely frozen, silent world, covered in a brilliant white crust of ice that is heavily fractured by long, dark, sweeping lines. The surface temperature rests hundreds of degrees below zero. Yet this rigid, frozen shell is hiding one of the most comforting and miraculous secrets in the cosmos. Because Europa is constantly, gently kneaded by the immense gravitational pull of Jupiter as it orbits, its internal core is kept surprisingly warm. This internal heat completely melts the underside of the ice, creating a vast, dark, liquid saltwater ocean that spans the entire globe. In fact, there is more liquid water hidden beneath the frozen crust of Europa than in all of the vast rolling oceans of Earth combined. Imagine the profound serenity of a world covered in ice, yet holding a warm, dark, endless sea completely protected within its heart. It is a beautiful reminder that no matter how cold or rigid the exterior world may seem, there is always a deep, warm and fluid space perfectly preserved underneath. You can sink into your own internal quiet ocean right now, a deep, warm and completely safe reserve where the harsh temperatures of the waking world simply cannot reach you. Rising softly from those deep hidden waters, our perspective floats back out into the grand gallery of the cosmos, where dying stars leave behind records of their final, rhythmic breaths. 3,000 light-years away sits the Cat's Eye Nebula, one of the most complex and breathtakingly intricate structures ever observed. Surrounding the brightly glowing core of the nebula are at least 11 perfectly spaced concentric rings of glowing gas and ancient dust. To the human eye, it looks exactly like the delicate cross-sectional rings of a massive ancient tree, or the soft ripples spreading outward on a perfectly still pond. Astronomers believe these rings were formed because the star did not simply explode. It gently, periodically exhaled its outer layers in a steady, pulsating rhythm, exactly once every 1,500 years. Each ring is a quiet, glowing monument to a single, colossal breath taken by the star in the deep past. It is a visual representation of a slow, perfect, and deeply relaxing cosmic tempo. You can align your own breathing with this beautiful concentric pattern. With every long, slow breath you exhale, imagine a soft, glowing ring of relaxation expanding outward from your body, rippling smoothly and effortlessly into the dark, carrying away the last remnants of tension into the infinite void. As those soft rings of exhaled light ripple outward, They gently pass through the vast, seemingly empty spaces between the stars, brushing against microscopic particles that are quietly performing a beautiful, continuous act of creation. Pervading the entire Milky Way are incredibly fine grains of silicate dust, no larger than the particles in a puff of smoke. When the continuous invisible stream of the solar wind, which is rich in hydrogen, washes over these tiny floating grains of dust, a delicate chemical reaction occurs directly on their microscopic surfaces. The hydrogen gently combines with the oxygen trapped in the dust, creating pure molecules of water. This means that the deep vacuum of space is not a dry, barren wasteland. It is a continuously brewing mist, with tiny floating sponges softly generating water out of starlight and dust. It is a microscopic cosmic dew constantly forming in the absolute cold. Imagine the sheer, delicate beauty of this invisible process. Billions of tiny floating droplets of water being patiently assembled in the dark. It is a profoundly hydrating, soothing thought. The universe is endlessly resourceful, gently creating the very essence of life in the most quiet, unassuming and peaceful manner imaginable. That same sense of continuous fluid connection can be seen on a scale so massive it bridges the gap between entire galaxies. Stretching across the southern hemisphere of our night sky is a colossal, sweeping ribbon of high-velocity gas known as the Magellanic Stream. It is a massive, invisible bridge of hydrogen that physically connects our Milky Way to its two small satellite galaxies, the large and small Magellanic Clouds. As these dwarf galaxies slowly orbit our own, the gentle, unyielding gravity of the Milky Way smoothly draws out this long, elegant tail of gas behind them, wrapping it around the southern pole of our galaxy like a delicate glowing scarf. It spans hundreds of thousands of light years, a silent, cosmic river flowing continuously from one galactic body to another. It beautifully illustrates that even the most massive, isolated structures in the universe are fundamentally connected by soft, sweeping currents of matter. There is no true isolation in the cosmos. Everything is gently tethered, softly reaching out and sharing its substance in the dark. You're held exactly like this, safely tethered to the quiet gravity of your room, woven completely and securely into the comforting fabric of the night. Wrapped securely in that comforting fabric, we can look up and realize that the sheltered space we currently inhabit has its own open window to the deeper universe. We know that our solar system is peacefully drifting through a cleared-out cavity called the local bubble, but this bubble is not entirely sealed. Astronomers have discovered that it connects to an even grander, sweeping structure known as the local chimney. This is a vast, cylindrical clearing in the interstellar dust that points directly up and out of the galactic disk, reaching toward the quiet, freezing halo of the Milky Way. It is a cosmic skylight, a clear, unobstructed tunnel through the heavy, glowing fog of the galactic plane. Through this magnificent open chimney, the softest, most ancient whispers of intergalactic light can gently filter down to reach us. It represents a beautiful openness, a clear pathway for the mind to expand upward without encountering any heavy resistance or blinding dust. You can let your awareness float up through this quiet, clear chimney, leaving the dense, crowded thoughts of the day far below and emerging into the pristine, perfectly empty and infinitely expansive dark above the galaxy. From that pristine, elevated vantage point, looking back down through the clear chimney at our own solar neighbourhood, everything shrinks into a perspective of ultimate, profound peace. In 1990, the Voyager 1 spacecraft, having completed its grand tour of the outer planets, turned its camera backward to take one final parting photograph of its home. From a staggering distance of nearly 4 billion miles away, the Earth appeared as nothing more than a tiny pale blue dot, suspended perfectly within a faint scattered sunbeam. From that immense quiet distance, all the noise, all the urgency, and all the complicated structures of human life completely vanished. There were no borders, no loud demands, and no heavy obligations. there was only a microscopic glowing mote of dust, resting silently in the grand, sweeping theatre of the cosmos. It is the most humbling and simultaneously the most deeply relaxing image ever captured. It reminds us that our world is a tiny, incredibly precious and beautifully fragile sanctuary, floating securely in the deep dark. Everything you hold on to, every worry you carry exists entirely on that one tiny floating point of light. You can simply let it all go. Nothing needs to be held too tightly. You're a quiet, resting observer, safely nestled on that pale blue dot, comfortably surrounded by the vast, protective and eternal silence of the universe, carried safely forward as the deep night continues to beautifully unfold. As we rest safely on that pale blue dot, comfortably surrounded by the vast, protective and eternal silence of the universe, there is one final, profound truth to carry with you into the deep dark. Because the speed of light is finite, and the cosmos has been continuously expanding since the very dawn of time, there is a natural spherical boundary to everything we can possibly perceive, a magnificent threshold known as the observable universe. But this boundary is not a fixed, rigid wall in space. It is entirely relative to the observer. This means that mathematically, physically and literally, you're sitting at the absolute exact centre of your own observable universe. The ancient light from the furthest, most distant galaxies has travelled for nearly 14 billion years from every possible direction, moving in a perfect, magnificent sphere just to reach the exact point where you are resting right now. If you were to somehow move to the Andromeda Galaxy, your observable universe would simply shift seamlessly with you, keeping you perfectly centered in a brand new sphere of ancient light. You're not on the edge of anything, nor are you lost in the chaotic, random expanse of the void. You are the quiet, still, and perfectly balanced focal point of a 93 billion light-year tapestry of stardust, sweeping galaxies, and ancient warming energy. The cosmos has spent eons unfolding, expanding, and creating unimaginably beautiful structures, and from your unique, incredibly precious vantage point, it all radiates outward from you. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the very atoms that make up your resting form were forged in the hearts of distant stars, and now they have come together, simply to lie still in a quiet room and understand their own grand history. The universe has grown conscious through you, just so it could appreciate its own breathtaking beauty. There is no need to search for your place in the void, because the universe has naturally, effortlessly arranged itself completely around you. You are the anchor. You are the quiet, breathing heart of the cosmos in this exact moment, perfectly held, perfectly aligned, and perfectly at peace. Our long, sweeping journey across the stars has finally reached its quiet conclusion. We have drifted through the glowing mist of ancient nebulae, floated past the heavy, falling diamonds of distant icy worlds, and traced the invisible, magnetic rivers that connect the deepest corners of the dark. But you do not need to hold on to any of these things. You do not need to remember the sweeping rings of ice, the wandering rogue planets, or the ancient, patient light. You can let all these vast cosmic structures simply dissolve back into the gentle shadows of your mind. What stays, stays. What fades away simply leaves behind a beautiful, spacious emptiness, a perfect, quiet vacuum where deep, restorative sleep can finally take root. Feel the immense, comforting gravity of the earth gently pulling you down, anchoring you perfectly in this exact moment. The mattress beneath you is a safe, heavy harbour. Your limbs are as relaxed and unburdened as the fine, ancient dust settling gracefully on a quiet lunar plain. There is nowhere else to travel. There is absolutely nothing left to explore tonight. The grand, spinning carousel of the galaxy will continue to turn slowly and silently on its own, completely without your effort. The stars will keep their patient, eternal watch. The ancient light will continue its unhurried journey through the dark. You're completely allowed to step away from the waking world. Let your breath become slow, soft, and remarkably rhythmic, like a quiet, invisible wave rolling gently onto a dark, forgotten shore. Breathing in the cool, still air of the night, breathing out any remaining, lingering echoes of the day. The mind is smoothing out entirely, becoming a flawless, unbroken mirror reflecting nothing but pure, unadulterated peace. The edges of your awareness are softening now, blurring beautifully and seamlessly into the surrounding dark. There is no need to think. There is no need to focus. The room is safe. The night is perfectly quiet. The universe is holding you in a vast, timeless, and deeply loving embrace. Every muscle has surrendered. Everything is perfectly still. Everything is wonderfully heavy. You're drifting away, completely untethered, sinking softly and beautifully into the most profound, healing rest. And now, 101 wonders are resting with you. Sleep now. Good night.